Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Xbox Casuals, the Xbox podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derrigan. Alongside me, as always, is my game of the year, Josh Finney.
Oh, thanks, bud. You're
Hi,
my game of the
Josh.
year, too. Hey, Corey.
I missed you, Josh.
Missed you, too. It was a rough end of the year. Man. Both cars had check engine lights come on in the same week.
Ooh,
Had to get both of those repaired. My uncle had a heart attack 2 days before Christmas.
Oh, God.
Chelsea's dad is in the hospital for a spinal issue right now.
Oh, man.
Plus COVID. She got COVID again the week before Christmas, so that was fun.
Gross.
Oh, dude, it has been one thing after another. We are just like, can we catch a break, please? Please.
Sorry,
It's been a really rough holiday, but we're hoping that all of that happened in 2023, though. So we're hoping we're a week in, and so far, the first week of the year has been all right.
It's been a week.
It has truly been a week. I had another light come on today when I was driving home from the store. That I was like, oh shit, I got to figure out what that means. So I got all the way home and it was like, oh, apparently that's the indicator that comes on when one of your headlights is about to go out.
Ooh.
Or has gone out. So I had Chelsea out there telling me while I was testing all my lights, like telling me which one wasn't lighting up. And she's like, they all lit up. So I guess I'm just driving around until one of them goes out and I'm just going to like check it once a week or something. Yeah, probably not the safest thing to do, but...
Yeah, probably not.
What else are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Her solution was replace all of them, and I was like, do you know how much time and or money that's going to cost me to do? Like, no, I just got one of these lights replaced a few months ago, so I'm not replacing that light on top of everything else.
Right.
Other than that, other than the everything, it was a much needed break.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, let me tell you, I feel a lot better taking 3 weeks off. Maybe we should do that more often.
Oh my god. Yeah, it allowed me to come back and recharge my batteries and also allowed us to ignore some of the absolute ridiculous discourse that was going on.
Oh my gosh, dude. I ignored so much. Dude, it was so... There was so much happening that, like, and I just ignored all of it, and it was so nice to the point where, like, I forget half the stuff that happened that may or may not have happened. And then
this morning, we are bombarded with, like, the silliest of all, and we're like, god damn it.
I know. There's, like... rumors floating around last week. There's new rumors today. Of course, the year kicked off with an explosive amount of layoffs again.
Unity laid off 1,800 alone today.
I know. God. It's man.
It's not great.
No, it is not. It is not, Josh. But did you happen to play anything cool over break? Anything fun? Anything?
I played a lot of Sea of Stars.
Yeah, how did you feel about Sea of Stars?
I'm almost done with it. I'm definitely at the end. Maybe another solid play session and I'll be done with the story.
Mm-hmm.
I still really love it. It definitely took some twists that I was like, wow, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
I got really emotional over baking a loaf of bread in this game.
Yeah. Before or after the event?
Both.
Oh.
I was just kind of like a puddle of tears for like 30, 45 minutes while I was doing that quest line.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the most emotional moments in a game this year for me. The game definitely doesn't feel as good after that moment.
Yeah.
I won't say it like takes a significant dip. Like I think the story still hit me with another huge what the fuck moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like not even an hour later, I was like, what the fuck is happening? But I don't know. Like just that first like 60-70% of the game is so magical. And then it's just like, oh, feels like the magic is like kind of gone now. Kind of a big bummer. But it definitely achieves what it's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely pays a lot of homage to, Chrono Trigger and, Super Nintendo RPGs in particular. I got a big Golden Sun feeling out of this game. And Golden Sun, one of my all-time favorite games.
I've heard.
I fucking love Golden Sun. Nintendo, you want my money? Remake Golden Sun. I really, really, really enjoyed it, though. It's been a lot of fun. I played that. I attempted to get back into Apex Legends. That did not go well.
What made you try to do that.
There's a Final Fantasy event starting tomorrow, bud.
Right.
And then I saw that to get all the cosmetics is going to cost you like $400, and I said, nope, I'm good.
You got that lying around though, right, Josh? I mean,
oh my god, yeah. If I had that laying around, we'd be talking about Baldur's Gate 3 tonight. I promise, Baldur's Casuals will happen. It's just a matter of when. At this point, but did I play anything else? I'm trying to think if I played anything else new over the break. I think Sea of Stars was the main thing that I jumped in and played a lot of over the break. I had plans to start Remnant and did not get around to it. Played a little bit of Sonic Superstars.
Yeah, how's that?
Not as good as Super Mario Brothers Wonder, let me tell you.
Not shocked by that statement.
It's fine. Like, it's fine. It's just it came out at a really bad time and at a kind of ludicrous price.
Yeah.
To release that at like $50 was a little silly. $50-$60 was silly. I bought it for $30, which I feel is a perfectly fair price for that game. At that price point, I think it's definitely worth a pickup. I played some more Persona 5 Tactica. Still not sure if I'm like super in love with it or not. All it did was make me want to go play Persona 5 again, which I fired up again over the holidays. I'm doing a New Game Plus play right now. I've been working on it for a couple weeks now. Just kind of dabbling here and there, and then I was like, "Oh man!" I hit the point where the hook just dug in, and I was like, "Fuck! All right, I guess here goes another like 80 hours of my life." But it's been the holidays, been relaxing, been playing through with the girlfriend this time. She watched very little of the first play, so she's definitely gotten invested in the story now after watching the anime a little. So that's been fun. We've got all the Royale content to still go through, so probably about another 30 hours on top of the 50 something we've already spent. New Game Plus goes a lot faster in that game.
Yeah. Well,
you have all your power ups, you have all your personas you can bring that as long as you're registering them, you can bring forward. If you summon one particular one, it basically one hit kills literally everything except for like the palace bosses. So pretty worth it there. You can just fly through the game, and like you already know what a lot of the dialogue is. You can skip some of the uninteresting parts. They're like, oh yeah, let's explain the whole metaverse. Like, nope, I'm good. I don't need to hear 30-minute explanation from a talking cat today. So, that's what I've been playing. Corey, what have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Oh man, I mean, the only game I've really been playing for myself, which was rare over the holidays, because turns out I have children who are interested in video games. They're getting to the age where they're starting to become interested.
How much Super Mario Wonder did you play with them?
Very little Mario Wonder, honestly. A lot of Mario Party, a lot of Mario Kart, some Zelda. Oddly enough, my daughter is like really into Princess Zelda right now, because she sees the amiibo sitting on my shelf, and she, well, Zelda, and
I went to go visit our friend Ray, and me and him were playing. I hadn't gotten to play Mario Wonder yet, and we were sitting on the couch playing it, and his daughter had a controller that had no batteries or anything in it, and she felt like she was playing along with us, which was
that's how my son was.
The most adorable thing in the world.
Yeah, that's how my son was with Mario Party. We gave him a controller that wasn't charged, and then we, because there's always 4 players in Mario Party, regardless if they're computer players or not. So we let him pick his character, and he felt like he was playing, and it was fun because he has no clue. So that my
kids,
I know my daughter's like oddly in love with Mario Party because like she understands all the mini games enough, and it's like a giant board game.
I mean, she's like 5?
Yeah,
she's kind of at the perfect age.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, we had a blast. My wife played with us, and my wife doesn't play any games.
Yeah,
so, it was really fun. We played the Superstars one, which is like the remake of all the old Mario Party maps.
Yeah.
My daughter loves Peach's birthday cake, so yeah. But the only game I've been playing by myself, I played a lot of Immortals of Aveum actually.
Okay,
played that, which is it has like this weird, like the first Machine Games Wolfenstein game. New Order, where like it starts out really slow and you're just kind of like,
Yeah.
what is this? Why am I like?
If it doesn't grab you in the first couple hours, it's probably not going to. Yeah.
But after like, I would say after the third level, because it's a very linear first person shooter. Let me tell you, it feels oddly like a somewhere like pre Halo 3 era first person shooter, to be honest.
Oof.
Not in a bad way, just like the level design and
so like it kind of feels like Black.
I wouldn't. Black's not great, but yeah, sort of.
I mean, they're both published by EA.
I know.
They both play like pre-Halo 3 shooters.
Like the story's real dumb, but in a fun way. And like you're like it's a first-person shooter, but you're shooting different types of magic, and you have like a sniper magic and an assault rifle magic. And
it's one of those like I saw enough to get interested, but not for $70.
Oh, it was like $15 over the break.
Oh yeah, see, still too. That's funny. Like that's still too rich for my blood, knowing that EA Play is gonna get the game in a couple months, anyways. Yeah. Like I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah. I ended up buying the game though because the studio laid like half their staff off because nobody bought the game, and
I do feel bad about that. They had an awful release date for that game.
Yeah.
It came out the same week or the same time frame as Baldur's Gate 3, Starfield, Armored Core. Like Sea of Stars, all four of those games are definitely superior.
Yeah, it was. And by no means is this like Game of the Year material or anything, but I'm having a good time with it. It has Gina Torres in it. She's kind of like the main character.
Gina Torres. Remember when she voiced Ikora?
Yeah, she left Ikora to go play it,
and then didn't do anything with the character for how long?
Yeah. But she's kind of like the main leader of this resistance group that you're fighting with, and it's cool. I'm enjoying it. But like I said, it's no Game of the Year contender. I just felt like I wanted something real dumb and I didn't have to put a lot of thought into, and that's kind of what I've been playing is that. And then, speaking of Destiny, I didn't touch Destiny over the break at all. Zero Destiny for me.
I did. I played the new exotic mission, which was really cool. I did that. I did some story stuff. Baked a few cookies for grandma. But yeah, I didn't play too much either. A lot of that was I just took I just kind of unplugged for a while, like outside of like, doing the casual playthrough of Persona that I'm doing. I just kind of chilled. Played some Fortnite with the boys, but really haven't played too much the last couple of weeks. I think we all just wanted to like unwind and unplug after this crazy year. And especially because like January is going to be off to such a hot start already.
Yeah.
And like, thankfully I'm not playing anything this month. I'm saving the funds for next month because we go from Persona straight into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, straight into Dragon's Dogma 2. So
yeah.
God bless my free time.
Yeah. The only other game I've really been playing, though, is Super Mario RPG.
I have it downloaded. I need to get to it.
Yeah. I'm only like an hour in. It's very...
I never played it on the Super Nintendo, so I'm excited to play it.
Well, let me tell you, it feels like a Super Nintendo game.
That seems to be a consensus from what I've heard. This is not the Metroid Prime remaster.
This is definitely not that. This is a... we put a nice coat of paint on that Super Nintendo game you love.
Yeah.
Here you go. So that's kind of it. But yeah, Josh, let's speaking of Xbox games, let's talk about some of these there's a lot of rumors and speculation and things going on over the past week, which I was like, man, we're actually gonna have to talk some news before we talk Game of the Year stuff. So yesterday it came out that Hi-Fi Rush may be making the jump to Nintendo Switch. I don't know if you want to talk about both of these at the same time, or if you want to.
Yeah, let's talk about both of them at the same time.
Okay, and then today it came out that Sea of Thieves might be jumping ship to PlayStation and Nintendo
potentially
Switch.
The Switch.
Potentially,
yeah.
This is I mean, look, we know Xbox has a weird, different strategy than the other platforms, right? They want to be on as many platforms as they can get their games on. It's not all about the box for them. That I think if you're going to do a multi-platform release, Sea of Thieves makes sense because of its MMO kind of, genre. How do you feel about this stuff, Josh?
There's been a lot of overreactions, I think, from all sides of this. There's PlayStation fans who are using this to be fanboy. And I should clarify, these are fanboys. These are like the super fans who just live and die for a plastic box. Who are like, oh, see, look, there's no reason to own an Xbox ever. And then there's Xbox fans joining the chorus now going, oh, see, look, Phil Spencer's such a slime ball. He's taking away any reason to own this box. Let me tell you something. As good as Hi-Fi Rush is, nobody is buying a fucking Xbox for Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, and
that game has had less than 4 million players.
And to be honest, I don't think anybody's buying an Xbox in 2024 for Sea of Thieves either. I'm going to be honest with you.
I mean, Sea of Thieves, it's funny. Like, we say that, but that game has had so much enduring popularity on the Steam charts.
No, I'm saying it's an amazing game. And if you would have said this 3 years ago, like, yeah, people are maybe be buying Xboxes for Sea of Thieves, but that game's been out for so long now that I feel like I don't know if you're buying a console just...
It's weird. Like, it's one of those that, like, I don't think you're buying it for that, but it's definitely a reason to buy one. Like, if you're looking for reasons, like, that's kind of one of your more flagship games right now, like flagship multiplayer experiences, I guess I should say. Especially with the partnerships they've had with Disney, with the Pirates, the Caribbean, and Monkey Island expansions, which are totally free, by the way. These two games making the jump to multi-platform makes sense, though. Sea of Thieves has been out for 6 years. It will have been out for 6 years in March. Like, what can you possibly complain about with that game? It's not like they're taking I don't know what's a game that just like literally just, it's not like they're taking Starfield and putting it on PlayStation 6 months later, right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh man, could you imagine if
could you imagine the fucking meltdown? But like, Phil has been really clear about this for years now, that they want to be on as many platforms as possible by whatever means necessary. And I think if you take multiplayer experiences, those are getting harder and harder to keep exclusive, by the way, because you are limiting yourself to your growth. And Tom Warren was pointing this out to Paul Tassi earlier, who Paul was like, oh, I don't know about this strategy. Microsoft doesn't seem to have one. And Tom was like, well, console Game Pass subs dried up a while ago, because at this point, if you're on console, like, you have Game Pass. Like, they may get an occasional influx, like maybe they're adding like, $1 million a quarter or something, but they're not growing nearly at the rate they were, one, during the pandemic, two, when the next gen consoles were first releasing. Like, once you start getting that steady influx of first party games, you will probably see another big growth, but it's primarily through PC Game Pass at this point. So he's like, you got to grow somehow. And if it's putting individual games on there, like, okay, cool. Like, those people are choosing to play those there rather than buying an Xbox. Microsoft doesn't give a shit. You are paying for that game no matter what. And that was the whole strategy behind releasing things on Steam day and date.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a problem. Sea of Thieves, like, it makes so much off microtransactions that they're like, yeah, hell yeah, why not? Like, if something like that, or Grounded is another one that I think is going to make the jump pretty soon. Everybody loves a good survival game. Grounded already was a wild success on Steam in early access, Remember, they were touting those numbers, like, oh yeah, we've sold like 3 million copies or something in the first month. And it had another influx. Like, Minecraft Dungeons was very quietly one of the best-selling games on the Switch over the last couple of years. That's where most people played that game, I think.
Yep.
And, like, yeah, Minecraft Legends hasn't had quite the same appeal, but that was always a hard game to market. I think something like Grounded would do really, really well on the Switch. And we know that, like, Nintendo has been having this close relationship with Microsoft for a while now. Because, as noted by, like, Banjo and Steve both coming to Smash Brothers Ultimate, you've had both Ori games make the jump. They allowed MDHR to move Cuphead over.
Yeah.
Like, they allowed them out of their exclusivity agreement there. So this is not surprising. You and I have speculated for years that Rare Replay has to be on the way at some point.
Yeah.
Like the things that just make sense make sense. I'll put it this way, because somebody on Reset Era tried to come out and be like, oh, Hi-Fi Rush isn't going to come to the Switch, it's going to come to PlayStation instead. And it's like, it makes a lot more sense to go to the Switch personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and if it's going to be smaller games like that or Grounded, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Like, especially your multiplayer games, like, you want those experiences to be played by as many people as possible. That grows your player base, this and that. And Microsoft kind of has to do this. Sony is getting to a position where they're going to have to do that with their multiplayer games.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're going to just cannibalize.
Helldivers 2 is day and date for PlayStation with PC.
Yeah, and that's a shock, because they've never done that before.
Actually, they've only done it one other time, and it was with Helldivers 1.
Interesting. I kind of forget Helldivers 1 happened, which is funny. That was a PC game. I kind of forget about that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Microsoft seems to be doing. I mean, look, Phil Spencer said it's a game by game basis.
Yep.
And they're clearly not doing it day and date, but I think they are doing it where it makes sense. I think the games you have to start, like, you would start, quote unquote, worrying as an Xbox player would be like if the next Gears ended up coming out soon after the
Xbox I guess that's like kind of what I'm trying to get at is like, I don't think you're going to see the flagship franchises like Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Halo, Gears, Forza, like those are not Fable, those are not going to make the jump. But this does make me wonder if I think that like if you're under the actual Xbox Studios umbrella, your games are probably not making the jump. Like Sea of Thieves is and I say that knowing Sea of Thieves is a rare game, but it's also been out for 6 years.
Yeah.
The games I would expect to see are games that have been out for several years already. It would not shock me to see Battletoads make the jump. It would not shock me to see like Tell Me Why make the jump over.
Yeah.
Those games would not surprise me, but when those get published on other platforms, Microsoft has to get a third-party publisher to do it, which is why 4J handles Minecraft. They have to get somebody else to handle those ports because it's not Microsoft themselves doing it. They have to actually like explicitly say it's okay. And I don't know how it'll work with some of these non-existing franchises. Like Bethesda probably still has its own publishing arm, so like, okay, that's fine. It's not like they've thrown the Xbox logo up in front of those games when you boot them up anyways. But I do think the only other game I would think that is in their like current repertoire that is like a recent game that would make the jump to Switch, and it probably won't be until Switch 2, frankly, would be Psychonauts. Because that was always a weird one that it didn't come, and I assumed that it didn't come to Switch because of budgetary reasons. That would not surprise me to make the jump to Switch 2.
Yeah.
But like
and maybe this is a conversation for the Nintendo podcast I do, but do you think like Microsoft is preparing some of these games for the Nintendo's next console because maybe the Switch isn't powerful enough to handle these?
I would say that Sea of Thieves would be a definite one because at some point Sea of Thieves is going to leave Xbox One behind. And I feel like that time is coming pretty rapidly. So I would say yes. Hi-Fi Rush also could be another one of those. Like I don't know if that would come right away because if it's coming to Switch, why didn't it come to Xbox One? Right. So those are fair questions. That unless it's going to be one of those weird cloud only games, which is entirely possible. I don't know. I guess I have questions about this, but there have been enough people with credibility who have said this is happening that the Hi-Fi Rush thing feels like it is for sure happening.
Yeah.
That has been corroborated by enough people that I trust that I'm like, yeah, that's happening and it's probably getting announced like within the next couple of weeks. The 1 year anniversary of the game is fast approaching.
I wonder if that would be some sort of like shadow drop at the next Nintendo Direct, which is usually the second week of February.
I don't know. I assume that would be an announcement that Microsoft wants to make themselves and is not going to let Nintendo make because they didn't allow them to make the announcement about the Ori games either.
Yeah, that's fair.
Microsoft had Moon Studios just announce it. So I would think that if you're going to get an announcement for it, it's going to come on the 1 year anniversary of Hi-Fi Rush. Especially if it is coming to both Switch and PlayStation.
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves, likewise, I could see that being something that they announce on the 1 year or on the 6th year anniversary in March. Because both Jeff Grubb and Steven Totillo said this morning that they've heard that it could be as soon as a Q1 release.
Mm-hmm.
It is important to note that they had heard that discussions had happened, not that they are for sure happening or that it's for sure going to happen, but it was definitely explored at some point. I feel like this is a case of where there's smoke, there's fire.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like Sea of Thieves makes more sense to be a PlayStation thing than a Switch thing, whereas Hi-Fi Rush makes more sense to be on Switch than on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I would not, if I'm a fan of either of those consoles, though, I would not get my hopes up about things like Hellblade coming over, because I'll tell you right now, like, they're not going to put Senua's Saga on other platforms.
Mm-mm.
If they do, it'll be years from now. Like, years and years. Same with, like, Outer Worlds 2 is another one. Like, that's one that they've kind of danced around when they've been asked. Like, oh, is Outer Worlds 2 going to come? You know, because the first one was multi-plat, and Microsoft's been pretty quiet on it. I don't expect that that's going to come to other platforms.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, with every game they do this, the matter, and I wonder how mad Pete Hines is getting right now, even though he doesn't work at Bethesda anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about him getting really frustrated about Todd getting questioned about, is Starfield going to come to other things, you know, this and that, because Call of Duty is going to keep being on other platforms. Like, we're going to keep getting questions about Elder Scrolls, like Elder Scrolls is platform locked and this and that. Like, well, yeah, those are your marquee games. People will buy the console or buy a subscription to come play Elder Scrolls, to come play Fallout, to come play Gears, to play Halo, etc. Like,
yeah,
those are your big franchises. There's nothing that says that like Hi-Fi Rush can't turn into a bigger franchise, but for right now, it's a $30 game. People, and it did not. It was critically well received. I have not talked to a single person who did not enjoy that game when they played it.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, its numbers were so far below what a marquee title is on either of these platforms in terms of engagement. So,
yeah,
I think if you're getting this upset about a $30 game and a 6-year-old game coming to other consoles, you need to reevaluate like your troubles in life.
Yeah,
because this ain't it, guys. Like, and also like the false equivalencies of, oh, well, then I expect to be able to play Pokemon or Mario on my Xbox or on my PlayStation. It's not the same fucking thing. Like, Nintendo is in such a unique business position that like when you buy most people are buying a Nintendo console just to play Nintendo games. They're not buying it to play third-party games.
Yeah.
Whereas when you buy an Xbox or a PlayStation, like you look at the numbers, and like the most popular games on those platforms are Call of Duty, Fortnite, Apex, Madden. Like, it's all Grand Theft Auto. It's all third-party shit. Like, Sony only recently, and by recently I mean in the last like 5-6 years, has tapped into this thing that has made like their first-party games like this event. First-party games have never had that attach rate on a PlayStation console before.
Mm-hmm.
Or on an Xbox. Like, Xbox tapped into that with Halo and Gears back in the day, but even Gears never sold half as well as Halo. But like Halo games used to be a fucking event.
Yeah.
Up until 5. Like, 5 was such a catastrophe, but everything up through 4 was an event.
Man, Halo 3 was an event.
Like, these games, those games had launches in Times Square and were on like the evening news. They were so big.
Right.
And it's like that, and like I understand like games obviously got bigger and more popular after that, but like back in the day it was like Halo, Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty were the 3 that people lined up for.
Mm-hmm.
Back when you still did midnight launches. And then obviously, things like Skyrim took off and Fallout and, this and that, Uncharted 4. But I don't know. I think this whole thing is hilarious and silly. And I'm like, what is the harm in letting more people experience it? You talk up these games so much, let other people understand how good these are. And maybe they go, oh man, I really enjoyed like these couple games from Microsoft. Like, should we get an Xbox for the spare room? Like, should we maybe get a Series S, or Series X is on sale for like $399 this week. Should we go pick one up? Like, they've that Senua Saga reviewed really well.
God, dude,
like, by the way, the rumor going around about that one that it's internally reviewing in the 90s at Microsoft.
Yeah.
Like the consulting firms they have reviewing it are scoring it in the low 90s for like a Metacritic score, which, God, Microsoft has got to be thrilled with that right now.
I mean, not that they didn't release great games in 2023, right? I mean, Starfield and Forza and Hi-Fi Rush were all great, but like,
yeah,
they need a 90+.
They need a marquee single player game, and I mean, Starfield checked off a lot of the boxes, but it also like it's an incredibly divisive game. It was always going to be. And let's be honest, like as much as I liked Starfield and raved about it in our review, like I played so many other games in the second half of the year that it got passed by pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
It had some of my most memorable moments, but there's nothing that makes me want to go back and start up a new playthrough like Skyrim did.
Mm-hmm.
Or like even Fallout 4 I found really tedious. Fallout 3 and 4 I found really tedious to go back to. Skyrim is like the perfect game in terms of replayability, I feel.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to always judge a Bethesda game against that and whatever from now on. And that was true lightning in a bottle. Like most RPGs are kind of hard to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it also didn't help. It released within 3 weeks of Baldur's Gate 3, which is like the RPG of the generation. So,
yep.
Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do there?
Right.
I don't know. It's one of those things. Like, should we just shift to like some 2024 thoughts before we do our game of the year and our biggest stories of 2023?
Well, Josh, I have a list here. I didn't put
You
it
do, in fact, have a list.
Well, I have a list that's not on the doc. I did some research over the weekend, Josh. Okay, let me tell you what I did here.
Oh boy,
I took all 36 of Xbox's owned studios, including Activision Blizzard and Bethesda, and I made a list of what each studio is / potentially working on. And let's go through it then. All right, I'm gonna post it in the doc. Josh, are you ready for this big copy paste?
I'm ready. I'm ready for the big copy paste. Hit me with it.
All right.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Did not paste how I wanted it to, but that's okay.
That's okay. I'm gonna go through and start. I'll go through and start doing that if you want to start talking.
All right. So we have 343 Industries. Obviously, they're working on Halo Infinite right now. But they also, they're probably in some sort of pre-production on the next Halo project. Let's be honest.
They are.
Even after the studio shift, shake up, Certain Affinities project Tatanka that's rumored. I think I put the second party stuff on here somewhere.
You did. It's in there.
Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah, 343, Halo, Coalition, Gears 6, all hands on deck for that. And then I also put their unannounced new IP on there, even though it's on ice or canceled or shelved or whatever. Because I assume they're going to go back to that after Gears 6. I still think they're going to.
Yeah, I actually want to talk about that real quickly.
Yeah.
That new IP has had so many rumors go around it over the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. There was at one point the popular rumor was that it was maybe Star Wars related. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're still doing that small IP. I think Jeff Grubb is the one who said that as of this time last year, it had effectively been canceled.
Yeah.
And I do imagine that is to get all hands on deck for Gears. I think that Microsoft has also realized like Gears this fall will have been on ice for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of long to be wrapping up a story arc.
Yeah.
And I mean, the pandemic undoubtedly played parts in this, them trying to get used to Unreal 5. They did that whole Matrix tech demo, which I think kind of accomplished the goals that they had of learning how to use Unreal 5. Mm-hmm.
That tech demo was amazing.
That was spectacular. It was incredible. That's one of the best things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So I do think that this new IP, I do wonder if it's just had like reduced staff on it. Like maybe like a skeleton crew is still working on it. Mm-hmm. But because it was supposed to be a smaller scale game too.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if maybe you get like Gears is one of those franchises. I would not be shocked if they walked out at the summer showcase and said, "Hey, here's the announcement for Gears 6. By the way, it's coming out in October." Mm-hmm. That wouldn't shock me because I think that when you announce the next Gears, you need to just get it out there. Mm-hmm. Let's not drag our feet here. Let's get it out there. They don't really, other than Call of Duty, they don't have another big multiplayer game really coming this year. So why not let that fill the hole?
Yeah. So. I also want to point out that the Coalition Twitter account tweeted out, as you know, Josh, avid Gears fan here.
Yes.
Coalition tweeted out, "We'll see you in 2024. The week of New Year's." So
I did see that.
Just want to point that out. Maybe maybe I'm reading too much into it, but also maybe I'm not. So could be seeing Gears. World's Edge, the Age of Empires studio, is working on the remaster of Age of Mythology. Age of Mythology Retold. Compulsion Games, South of Midnight. I think that game looks cool. I also didn't realize that We Happy Few has been like 6 years. Was like 6 years ago.
Yep.
7 years ago. If you want to count the early access release, was 7 years ago. So maybe. I also know they have some sort of unannounced project.
Yeah, there was the big rumor a couple years ago that I believe it was Joe Gordon who said that they were working on 2 games. Project Midnight, which we now know as South of Midnight, was a lot further along.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, this is the game that 2 years ago Phil Spencer said was his most anticipated upcoming Xbox Game Studios game.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wonder. So there's been a couple people in the community who, kind of sort of know what's going on, who have talked, with Xbox. Well, I hesitate calling them like leakers or insiders because they really aren't.
Yeah.
But who have basically put out their predictions for this year. And one of the ones that I've seen more than a couple of times now has been that South of Midnight could be a fall release.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I don't know how much stock I put in that, but I would say it wouldn't be completely out of the realm of possibility that one of the games that we saw last year, one of like the 3 big ones that we got shown for the first time between Fable, Clockwork, and Midnight, that one of those comes out this year. It's not going to be Fable.
No, I would say South of Midnight has the best chance of coming out.
It's got to be, because In Exile is swearing that Clockwork Revolution is pre-alpha, and everybody was like, what? This game looks like ready to go.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out that the redone version of We Happy Few just is coming to Game Pass next week. So
yes.
Not that
truly a terrible game.
Not that says anything, but sometimes that stuff says something,
It's been 6 years. Like, that game came out in 2017.
Yeah.
And I know they supported it for a little bit after that. The studio was a pretty small studio when Microsoft acquired them. They've more than doubled in size.
Yeah.
But if you're really working on 2 projects, I mean, you probably have like 60 people working on this game at this point.
Yeah.
And probably your other like 25 are probably working on the other game.
Yeah, and I wouldn't exactly call South of Midnight a AAA game at this point. I would put it along the lines of like a Psychonauts-ish.
I have a hard time saying what kind of game I think it is because we just haven't seen the gameplay from it.
Yeah, that would be my guess based on We Happy Few and Contrast, right? Like that would be my guess.
So there was a really good write up on it on Xbox Wire earlier in the year, and in some interviews that were done after the summer showcase, basically saying that it's not an open world, but it's not exactly linear either.
Yeah.
Which leads me to think that it's maybe, Psychonauts is probably your best comparison in terms of like the world's like, there's going to be individual levels, but like an overarching like overworld, maybe.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. I'd like to see something along those lines.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of, honestly, like the way you're describing it is Stranger's Wrath, the Oddworld game.
Yeah. Yeah. I think something like that would be pretty cool. Something that's like kind of between a AA and a AAA in a lot of ways, like in size.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot worse things that you could be doing right now. Like, God damn, the wind is really blowing out there.
It's getting crazy out there.
Jesus.
Crazy.
No, it's like 40 miles an hour out there right now. Jesus. The studio I'm really excited to see more of is Double Fine.
Yeah, their new IP. They already confirmed it's not Psychonauts 3. They're doing their own thing. They're doing a new thing.
Yeah. So Tim Schafer said they were working on multiple games during the production of Psychonauts, and they put everything on hold to get Psychonauts 2 out the door. Which probably for the best, considering you took people's money like 7 years before it came out.
Yeah.
But the popular rumor that has really started swirling is that they're going to have some sort of like, maybe it's not a shadow drop, but it's like there's a developer direct supposedly coming next week.
Yeah.
And that at this direct, they're going to announce Double Fine's next game, and it's either going to be a shadow drop or it's coming out within like the next month or two. And everybody's latched on to the name Kiln. because it was trademarked last year and it was shown during like some game jam that they did at Double Fine. It's been seen in some studio footage as part of a game jam that they did back in like 2017. So I don't know if there's any truth to that. I think that's reaching a little bit, but hey, if that happens, cool. I think regardless, you're seeing what Double Fine's next game is this year. Whether it comes out is another story entirely, but I believe Tim Schafer did say this is going to be a smaller scale game than Psychonauts.
Yeah.
So maybe it won't take like 10 years from the announcement to release this time.
Right. Yeah, so also like Xbox Game Studios publishing a ton of games soon ish, maybe. So this is kind of where I put all the second party projects that we kind of know of.
Yeah.
So Flight Simulator 2024, Asobo is working on that, which looks like Flight Simulator plus.
Yep.
Ara History Untold is being worked on by Oxide. Contraband, which was announced 3 years ago at this point, and we still don't know anything about it, from Avalanche. Project Tatanka, which is the Halo project from Certain Affinity, that's been heavily.
This one I would bet comes out this year.
Yeah, you think so?
I mean, God, we've heard it for like the last 2 years that it was supposed to come out, and then they were reworking. But since they fully have taken over multiplayer now, yeah, I expect this to come out this year.
Yeah. I wonder, man, I wonder though, if they've totally taken over Halo multiplayer at this point, like either A, this comes out this year and they totally are implementing it into the multiplayer suite, or this is on hold and they're working on that Monster Hunter rumored project that they've been working on. Or didn't they show that off at some point? Like that Monster Hunter like game that they were working on?
No. As far as I know, that has never been seen.
Oh, really? I thought they showed that.
Yes.
At some point.
No, the game that they showed at Gamescom was a completely different game, a smaller scale game than either of these projects that is an FPS.
Okay.
And that's all we know about it.
I knew they showed something. I thought it was maybe.
Yep.
Okay.
Nope. It's a much smaller game than either of these games. Yep.
Project OD from Kojima, which they showed at the Game Awards.
I will almost guarantee you this is next gen.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying these are coming out this year. This is just
yeah. No. I'm saying like this one is so far off that I'm not even thinking about it. Like, cool, Kojima's making a game. Call me when there's actual footage.
Project Dragon from IO, which has been heavily rumored to be funded and published by Xbox, which is like their open fantasy.
I've heard like 3 different things about this game. Like, it's flip flopped so many times now.
Yeah. Where's my 007 game?
That is their next game. They've explicitly said that is their next game.
Yeah.
That may be a fall title this year.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, give it to me. And then one that I just added that I remembered while we were talking was Project Maverick from People Can Fly, which is their what was it, like a third-person shooter adventure?
I don't know, but this code name really makes me hope that it has something to do with Top Gun.
Sorry, Josh. I think the Top Gun game you got wasn't Flight Simulator.
Supremely disappointing.
Outriders 2, give it to me.
God, I hate you.
Maybe it's called Maverick and it's just Outriders, but not under Square Enix.
I would be so mad. I would be so unbelievably upset.
Instead of Outriders, they're called Mavericks.
Unbelievable.
Oh man, Outriders Game of the Year 2021. The Initiative is working on Perfect Dark with Crystal Dynamics. I was hesitant to even put The Initiative on here because it's pretty much all Crystal Dynamics at this point. Because
pretty much
can't keep anybody on staff, from what we've heard. In Exile, Clockwork Revolution, and an unannounced release because they supposedly are working on 2 games right now.
Yeah, I would bet that the other game is a new CRPG.
Yeah.
It's almost certainly a Wasteland 4, by the way.
Yeah, I
would shit bricks if it was a Fallout game, though.
I thought about that, but didn't they?
There was talk that supposedly last year at some point Microsoft had approached them and asked if they had asked them and Obsidian if they had wanted to work on a new Fallout game. And Obsidian, that was when the quote about Obsidian saying they had 7 games in 7 years planned.
Yeah.
already. They had the next 7 years already mapped out and couldn't take it on, and that nobody had heard if inXile had accepted or not. I think it would be kind of great. You have all the guys who have really spearheaded this franchise now working under Xbox.
It's what
between
the entire Black Isle Entertainment team,
Black Isle, the whole original Fallout team is there now, and you got Todd over because they're not going to go back from what Fallout's become,
right? No,
but
you could do something really interesting within.
I think you could still make a really fascinating game that is canon to both game timelines.
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool to see a Fallout, because Wasteland was basically made because they couldn't do another Fallout.
Yeah.
That's essentially where Wasteland comes from. Well, Wasteland 1 is really old.
Yeah.
But Wasteland 2 and 3 are essentially because they couldn't do Fallout games.
Yeah.
So, but you got Brian Fargo, you've got the team over at Obsidian now, you've got Josh Sawyer, you've got Todd Howard. Like, you've got a whole team of guys who have spearheaded these awesome games in this franchise. I still think they're going to establish a studio for Fallout. It's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with them now having the TV show, like they're gonna want a studio that oversees everything for Fallout.
Yeah,
and I think Microsoft and Todd Howard are both like pretty frustrated at how long it's taking Bethesda to make games right now. And I don't think Microsoft is not going to want to wait another like 7 years to get a Fallout game.
No, I mean,
let's be honest. The reason this purchase was made was because of Bethesda itself.
Yeah,
not everything else was a throw-in.
I think what you could do is leave Bethesda Game Studios to make the numbered Fallout games. So you could totally make 2 or 3 spin-offs between the time it takes them to make 2 numbered games, right? I mean,
I guess. I mean, look at how many people regard New Vegas as the best Fallout game, you know?
I know.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I still really think that you should just establish a studio and all they do is work on Fallout.
Yeah. You could call them,
Vault-Tec. Vault-Tec.
Yeah. I mean, you're already doing that with 343 and the Coalition.
Vault-Tec, the Enclave. I don't know. Like there's things you can do there. Like I still maintain that that's what I think that Bethesda Austin is eventually becoming.
Yeah. I mean, they're already doing 76, right? I mean, that's their.
They handed off 76. Bethesda themselves, as far as I know, is no longer explicitly working on 76. They've handed it off to an outside studio in the UK.
Interesting.
So, yep. That is what's reinforcing my belief that somebody is taking over Fallout within Microsoft. Yeah. Microsoft's whole stance has basically been, nope, you cannot hoard these properties anymore. We're not waiting like 10 years between Elder Scrolls and Fallout games anymore.
I wonder, as you see the Bethesda leadership kind of fade away, I wonder how free these IP become of Bethesda's kind of.
Well, I mean, part of their problem was, and Todd has said it, like, oh yeah, well, we had a pandemic, obviously, which definitely that set the whole industry back. Let's be honest, like by 2 years.
Come out 2 years ago, right? And
and then on top of that, they made Creation Engine 2, and Creation Engine 2 is a fucking dud.
Yeah.
Like there is still time to pivot Elder Scrolls, guys. There is still time to pivot it.
Pivot.
God, dude. If they don't pivot it for that, they have to for Fallout.
Get your raw scaler out. Pivot.
So, all right. What's our next studio, Corey?
Let's see. Where were we?
Mojang?
inXile, unannounced, really. Yeah. So Mojang, obviously, Kings of Minecraft.
The Minecraft franchise. Yeah. They have an unannounced game that's in production too, because they had 2. One of them was Minecraft Legends. I don't know what the other. My dream is that the other one is Viva Pinata.
God, that would be amazing.
I think they would be such a perfect studio to make Viva Pinata.
That'd be awesome.
But so cool. Who knows? Phil has said he's going to let studios make whatever they want to make.
If you made Viva Pinata like a free to play Animal Crossing style game.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying, guys. Come on.
Look at the wild success of Lego Fortnite.
Jeez. Ninja Theory, obviously Senua's Saga is coming this year.
Yep.
And they've had Project Mara in the works for a long time also.
This is another one that I think really went on the back burner, and I don't think this was meant to be a big game either. I really wonder if this was supposed to be a tech demo, and then with all the delay, because it was announced a month before COVID happened.
Right.
I almost wonder if they immediately had to go, oh shit, we got to put this on the back burner because we haven't even started Senua's Saga yet.
They put it on the back burner to finish Bleeding Edge. Let's be honest.
God, dude, what a catastrophe! What a catastrophe of a game.
Oh man, that game was strange.
These next two studios are the two that I'm most excited about. Though.
Oh yeah, Obsidian obviously has a ton of projects in the works. They have Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, their updates for Grounded, and then Project 4 is what I had listed here, but they obviously have more than that, I think, coming out.
The last time that I heard what was going on inside Obsidian was a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. It was being reported. I want to say Daniel Ahmad was tweeting about it back when he used to do like a lot more like insider info and stuff before strictly covering the Asian markets.
Yeah.
And he had posted that they were working on Avowed. This was like back in 2020, 2021-ish. They were working on Avowed. That's when we first learned about Pentiment, I believe. At the time, it was just known as the Josh Sawyer game. Outer Worlds 2. And they had an Grounded, but they had another project in development that was being led by one of the like assistant directors. I think it was for either Outer Worlds or of the Pillars of Eternity games, was making something else. There were rumors for a while, I have no idea where they came from, that this game was supposedly unlike anything they've ever done before at the studio, and for some reason people ran with, oh, it's Conquer. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Obsidian makes fucking Conquer, I'm giving up ever trying to predict what happens in this industry again.
I mean, I guess they could, because I mean, when I think of Conquer, I think of the South Park game, like them and Conquer. I think of Stick of Truth.
Yeah, but
that type of humor. But I'm like, I love
they have the writing talent for it. Let me be extremely clear.
Yeah, but I also remember that, like, the South Park guys had a very heavy hand in the direction of that game, and that's why it took so long.
But I mean, I look at the humor and like stuff like Outer Worlds and like the very self-aware humor like of Spacer's Choice and whatnot.
Yeah.
But obviously the whole Outer Worlds team has remained together for Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah.
Which I really love that I think it's Tim Gunn. No, not Tim Gunn. God, that's the guy off fucking Project Runway.
I was gonna say he's dressed up in nice suits.
There's some. I'm forgetting his name. It's Tim something, and I'm fucking forgetting his name. I feel really bad, so I'm googling this very quickly. Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine is who I'm trying to think of. Who he's a longtime director at Obsidian. He directed the Outer Worlds. He's directed numerous classic games. He was a programmer on Stick of Truth, Pillars of Eternity, Fallout 2. He was one of the producers on the original Fallout games. So like the dude's been around for a while. He says he's like half retired, but he is officially consulting on Outer Worlds 2 with Obsidian. At least like on the script and the direction and whatnot. So that's kind of fascinating to me. I'm interested to see if he has anything else to do with it. Same with Leonard Boyarsky. He was the co-director of Outer Worlds. I'm kind of interested to see if he's doing anything else. So, because he was also one of the main designers of Fallout and Fallout 2, as well as Diablo 3 eventually. So, there's some really cool stuff going on. Obsidian is low-key maybe the most talented studio that they own.
Yeah. I was actually
maybe not like the one that brings in like the big bucks, but like that consistently puts out incredible RPGs.
Yeah, I was actually looking at a lot of the Avowed trailers doing this, and
all two of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was watching them back to back, and like people doing breakdowns of videos and stuff.
Yeah,
and I really like how, like, even though it's trying to give the Elder Scrolls vibes, I really like how not Elder Scrolls it looks. Like, it's super colorful and like fun looking.
I want to say we got an interview about this recently, and I don't remember where I saw it, but I saw it floating around that originally this did start out as their answer to Elder Scrolls, and like that was their pitch to Microsoft.
Yeah,
but then they evolved it, and I believe it was probably during that reboot that happened in late 2020, early 2021 when they rebooted the game, that they moved away from that and made it a more contained Obsidian experience. Like they've said, it's not going to be this huge, massive open world game, which led to some people like Destin getting kind of upset about that. And I'm like, why? I want shorter I want RPGs that are only like 30 to 35 hours. What are you talking about?
Right.
Like, I want this. Not everything needs to be this massive, like, Persona or CD Projekt Red experience, you know? Like, I need smaller RPGs that are AAA quality.
Yeah.
So as long as the writing is there, like, I'm totally here for it. I'm so hungry to see more of this game.
Mm-hmm.
This is, of all the, like, games that are that we know that are coming this year, this is my most anticipated for the Xbox games.
Yeah. Yeah. This is close for me. I mean, Senua's Saga is mine. That first game is fucking amazing. But
you know what else I'm excited to see?
Fable from Playground.
Fable from Playground Games. I was having a debate about this with our friend Ray and another buddy of mine, Spencer, over the holidays, and we were debating the use of the word dog shit because one of our friends said that, you know, well, Starfield came out and it was total dog shit. I was like, did you even play it? And he was like, no. And I was like, okay, then shut the fuck up.
Right.
Like, you didn't even play it, but you're going to sit here and say it's dog shit. Well, I saw my friend play it. I was like, yeah, you saw him play it for like 10 minutes and then you felt qualified to make a judgment on it. Like, it's not dog shit.
Yeah.
But okay, like, I'm not even trying to reason with a man who only plays, you know, Call of Duty Zombies and Insurgency Sandstorm.
Oh man, those gems.
Oh yeah, I mean those fucking Game of the Year contenders right there. But our buddy Ray was like, man, I'm kind of skeptical about how this is going to turn out. He's like, because yeah, they make really good Forza games, but can that translate to making a good RPG? You're effectively built, because we have to remember this is Playground, but they effectively built this half of the studio from the ground up to make this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is essentially creating a new studio. And the only reason they're not getting as much flack as the Initiative is because they've flown super under the radar with it.
And also, there haven't been reports every 3 weeks of somebody.
Oh my god, yeah. There haven't been like 5 different tell-all exposés about the studio.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
My wonder is that, just to go back to the Initiative for 5 seconds, is that I wonder, like, with all the issues going on at Embracer, if they end up like shutting down Crystal Dynamics or IDOS, if those teams just initially get hired by the Initiative just to be Crystal Dynamics 2.0 at some point.
I would think so, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who fucking knows at this point?
Yeah. And then Perfect Dark just turns into Tomb Raider 2.0, and then everybody's just
everybody goes home happy.
Yeah, everybody's just
it's a high-tech Tomb Raider.
Yeah, which I would be okay with. But anyway, back to Playground.
Horizon 6 is like pretty certainly coming out this year.
They said that a Forza Horizon is in development at all times at that studio. So
I'm a little annoyed because we just got Motorsport, which still has a plethora of issues to be worked out, by the way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this fall will have been 3 years since Horizon 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, if you don't do it now, are you going to get one out this generation? Because next year is like packed.
Well, if you remember, like, those games used to come out every other year, and then the Forza Horizon expansion.
I'm extremely glad that they stopped putting these out every other year.
And then the Forza Horizon expansions would come out like a month before the the Motorsport game. It'd be like,
yeah, I was not a fan of that. I had a list a while back that I'm going to scroll through and find. It was a list of games that Jeff Grubb had listed that are going to come out or were supposed to come out in 2023. And this was published during summer 2021. I have to go through and find exactly where it is, but I have it in my saved files on my phone somewhere. But of the games on that list, only like one game has come out so far.
Yeah.
And I think it's Forza.
Yeah.
But Forza was playing for 2022, so I actually don't know if anything from that list has made it out yet.
Wow.
Which is even funnier to consider. But yeah, go ahead and continue, and I'll find this. I want to laugh at it.
Yeah. Okay. So Rare, obviously, Sea of Thieves they're working on, but also Everwild is still in production somewhere in that studio, maybe in the basement.
That game better not show that fucking game until the minute it's coming out.
Remember, everybody was like, "This is going to be Xbox's Breath of the Wild," and then it never came back out.
Yeah. Then we found out that the 2 trailers we got were just proof of concept, essentially.
Yeah.
Which made it even worse.
Yeah, I like in that first trailer, we were like, "What even is this game?" It's just like
I was intrigued by it. I thought it was cool.
Glowing animals running around and like
I thought it was really cool, and then lo and behold, here we are.
Yep. Turn 10, obviously Forza Motorsports aiming to be a game as a service, I would assume.
Yeah.
So, and then
they've explicitly confirmed that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Well, they also said that about Halo Infinite, and
well, Infinite had to pivot hard.
Yeah. And then Undead Labs is working on State of Decay 3. Although, did you see that State of Decay 2 just got some huge, massive update?
So that is largely being handled by outside studios, from what I understand. Like Wushu did a lot of the work on that.
Yeah, I'm just saying it got a 16 gig patch, and it was like,
just fucking let it go. I don't. It's funny because like I guess people are definitely still playing it if you're putting out content for it, but I don't know a single person who is playing that game.
Yeah. Well,
or who has played it in the last couple of years, I should say.
Yeah. Well, from what I've heard from people who aren't quote unquote gamers, but have Game Pass and they saw this, like, I know people who are still Walking Dead fans, 20 years later.
Yeah.
And this fulfills their Walking Dead fantasy. And it's actually
that's so silly.
Well, I mean, what are they going to play? Walking Dead Destinies? No.
I mean, you got a point, but
and this allows them to live in that world without living in that world, and so people like it. But also, like, I played that game at PAX 2017, so I don't know, man. All right, Josh, let's move into Bethesda real quick. Bethesda Game Studios, Starfield DLC, Elder Scrolls 6, Arcane Leon confirmed Marvel's Blade. Arcane Austin has moved on from Redfall, essentially, aside from a small team doing updates. It is the question mark here because the leaks said Doom Year 1, and then the other side says they're working on that Quake reboot, which they could be doing both, essentially, but that's the exciting one here because Doom and Doom Eternal are pretty good. And I'm wondering if they are aiming to have another shooter in their arsenal in terms of Quake, like a multiplayer shooter.
So from what I would personally guess, I think that it is. I've not wavered in my belief that this is Quake.
Yeah.
I don't think that Doom Year Zero ever got off the ground. I think that the purchase of Bethesda probably put those plans on hold. Mm-hmm. And effectively, because I mean, part 2 of the Doom Eternal DLC came out literally the week that all the games started hitting Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if that was one of the first things Phil went in and said was, "Hey, we're going to let you guys do whatever you want. You guys just shift Doom Eternal. You guys take some time, figure out what you want to do." If it is Quake, I want to be really clear that announcing this anywhere other than QuakeCon is malpractice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just from what I kind of get the feeling for, and this is going to really disappoint some long-term Quake fans, but Quake, I don't think if it came back as a multiplayer shooter would necessarily have the audience it used to because it's been so long. Like, it's been so long since Quake 3 Arena.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that game came out when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that a new Quake, like either a reboot or Quake 5 or whatever you're going to call it, would probably be just a single player game a la Doom 2016, or excuse me, really more like Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
And I would rather have that. Not every game needs to be multiplayer, and something like Quake, like, people are going to pick it up because it's Quake.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to play it on the name alone.
Yeah.
Same with Doom. I mean, like, Doom Eternal was a Game of the Year contender, for God's sake, Like, it's going to be the same thing. I did find that funny list I was trying to find.
Great.
Jeff Grubb, as of June 12th, 2021, I believe is when this, June 13th, 2021, out of that awesome E3 that they had that year. You remember that when we got like 6 minutes of Stalker 2?
Yeah.
And we were promised it was coming out in April, and then Vladimir Putin decided to crush our hopes and dreams.
Right.
Right now, the following games are all expected to launch in 2023 for Microsoft: Avowed, Fable, Perfect Dark, Everwild, Hellblade 2, Contraband, In Exile's next game, which we now know as Clockwork Revolution, Compulsion's next game, which we now know as South of Midnight, and the Coalition's next non-Gears of War project.
Jesus Christ. Nice.
That internally, that was the roadmap that Microsoft had laid out. Obviously, that didn't happen because not a single goddamn one of these games came out in 2023. And
Most
right
of them
now,
are
it
coming
seems
out in
like
2024.
only like 2, maybe 3 of the. I would say 2 to 4 of these are coming out this year.
Yeah, well, Hellblade for sure, Avowed for sure.
I'm not even putting Avowed for sure.
Oh, I might put it.
That game has gone through so many fucking problems behind the scenes. I'm not putting this down as a guarantee at this point. The ones in order of most to least likely, it's Hellblade, Avowed, and to be clear, I'm like 78% sure Avowed is coming out this year. I would say Contraband, and then
Gotta show what it is first.
I mean, I really think Contraband is like a game that, as much as I hate to say it, like they're up against the clock here. If that game comes out after Grand Theft Auto 6, nobody is playing this game.
Yeah.
This game is set in like a fictional country during like the Vietnam era or something.
Yeah.
Which it basically sounds like Just Cause in the 70s with 4 players, which is kind of all I need for the pitch of a Game Pass game.
You know what I want this to be, honestly, is like remember Smuggler's Run on PS2?
I do remember
I want like some hardcore version of Smuggler's Run.
I just want to use a puddle jumper with smuggling cocaine with my friends and getting into dogfights. That's really all I want here.
Yeah.
And some Jeep action.
Yeah.
But it's so funny that like this, he like makes it clear like this is not taking into account Bethesda or anything else. He does say at the end of this article, all of these are significant projects. Of course, something like Everwild, which Rare is rebooting, could easily slip into 2024 and beyond. Every one of these games slipped to 2024 and beyond. We're not even sure if Everwild is still happening.
Jesus. Yeah.
Anyways, I had to divert us for this. I thought this was too funny to pass up. I look at this every so often. At one point I had it bookmarked because I was referencing it so much.
Jesus.
This is fucking hilarious to me.
It is pretty funny.
Because their slate for 2022 was literally Redfall, Starfield, Forza, and then all 3 of those got bumped. All 3 of them got bumped.
Yeah.
Which is so funny to me. I think it's just so great. I love reading this. This just puts a huge smile on my face. Like, yeah, maybe like 2 to 4 of these come out this year. I would probably settle on 3.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I think the Contraband is probably just like, I think they just want that game to hurry up and come out.
Yeah, I would.
And they'll be like, yep, your time is up. Drop it in like August or something.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Where we can get the summer crowd. It's a big, dumb, loud game, and people will play it for like a month and then forget it exists, like Outriders.
Yeah.
Oh
man, Outriders Game of the Year 2021.
And then like you could maybe still slide South of Midnight out, but
yeah.
This is hysterical to me. This is a great list. This is an all-time great list.
Jesus Christ. They're all still coming though. If you want to be clear, like Xbox. I mean, you can't say Xbox.
We don't think any of these are explicitly canceled outside of maybe the non-Gears game. Arcane Leon.
We did Arcane Leon. I'm all the way down to Machine Games, buddy.
Jesus Christ, dude. I was like zoned out.
I mean, if you want to talk about Blade, we can. Real quick.
I don't want to talk about Blade. We talked about Blade last episode. Looks great, not coming out till 2027, so you might be buying the next Xbox to play this thing.
Machine Games, Indiana Jones,
oh god,
and maybe Wolfenstein 3 ?
I am no longer a believer that Wolfenstein 3 it actually exists in any form. Because for 4 years I predicted this game is coming out this year and it hasn't happened yet.
Look, all I'm saying, if they ended that series with Youngbloods, I'm gonna be upset.
So I want to float something to you.
Also, what if did not get to fight Mecha Hitler?
Can I float something to you?
Sure.
What if Machine Games is the one doing either Doom Year Zero or Quake?
See, I thought about that. I actually heard that rumor that Machine Games was doing Quake.
I heard the Quake rumor years ago.
Right after Wolfenstein 2 came out.
Yeah, I heard the Quake rumor has been around for years and years.
Especially because they started doing like the weird updates to the original Quake games, like that.
Yeah, that's now those 2 coming out is what has made me a believer that a Quake reboot is on the way. But I don't know. I mean, Doom 64 came to Xbox also, so who the fuck knows?
Yeah, who who fucking knows?
Who fucking knows? I'm no longer a believer that Wolfenstein 3 is coming, though.
It better be coming out.
I'm sure it will at some point, but again, this is the same problem we ran into with Gears. The further you get away, the less people are going to care about that storyline.
And nobody really cared about Wolfenstein 2 in the first place.
Well, so Youngblood sucked.
Yeah,
it wasn't that did a lot of damage to the brand, I think, quite frankly. Also, like, how many times have we rebooted Wolfenstein at this point?
Yeah, well, technically, Activision's Raven game is the first game in this series.
Just see, that's even more ridiculous.
I know it is.
I think that Wolfenstein, I think New Order, Old Blood, and New Colossus are all great games.
Mm-hmm.
I would be frustrated if they ended it there, but I would be okay with it. We got 3 really good games and 1 really crappy one.
Yeah.
And that weird VR cyber pilot game or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I would be okay with ending it there if it means that Machine Games can tackle original projects, because they pitched the New Order as their first game because they wanted to work with an existing franchise to prove they can make their own games.
Mm-hmm.
They've more than proven themselves at this point.
Yeah.
And I think Indiana Jones is them proving themselves. I think that's like their like, hey, we're here moments, you know?
Yeah.
We can do more than what you think.
Yeah. All right. ZeniMax Online. Obviously, Elder Scrolls Online is their kind of huge project, but also they've been working on that new MMO project that we've talked about.
Again, like there's been like 6 different rumors about what this could be. Yeah. The popular one for a while there was that it was a Mandalorian MMO, and I never really bought into that.
Yeah.
That always seemed a little too good to be true. I do think what it ultimately is it probably is a Starfield MMO.
You think?
That was the other one that I'd heard floating around. That would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Either that or like a true Fallout MMO. I do think it's an existing property. What if it was? What if? Walk out on a ledge with me for a second. We know that they have a licensed IP game that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Supposedly, and it's not Blade. We explicitly know it was not Blade at this point.
Yeah.
They were not negotiating for 5 years over Blade.
Right.
It makes me wonder, what if this is that Star Trek game that Todd Howard always wanted to make?
I mean, it could be. I mean, what's the biggest Star Trek thing right now? Bridge Crew or whatever, that VR game?
I don't know. Call Laron.
Laron! Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe.
I can't think of anything else.
Star Trek Online still exists? That doesn't still exist, does it?
I don't know. I truly would love for this to be an original IP, but I think it's going to be a lot harder now to make MMOs with ZeniMax now that you own Blizzard.
Yeah.
You are now managing World of Warcraft and Elder Scrolls Online.
Well, we'll get to that. I have a whole list of their live servers / MMOs.
God.
Down here.
Okay, I'll let it go for now then. But let's start flying through these. God, we've been on this forever. Let's start flying through.
Tango's. We talked about their JRPG rumor, and
I hope this is true. I really hope this is true.
Their second project.
That second project, I would put money on being Evil Within 3, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that might
just to conclude whatever story they were trying to tell.
Yeah.
But that's probably still a couple years out.
Plus, with the rise of the popularity of horror games too, right? Like with Resident Evil Dead Space last year in particular.
Well, but at the same time, like, this is Shinji Mikami's no longer there, so like they can kind of do whatever they want. I mean, granted, he's the one who greenlit Hi-Fi Rush. We should make that abundantly clear.
Yeah,
like every interview has come out and said that he is the one who signed off on it. He thought it was cool to grow the studio out of being just horror. And Phil has wanted a Japanese studio for forever. He got it in Tango.
Yeah.
If Tango is going to branch out into making JRPGs and things like Hi-Fi Rush and things like that, like
maybe we'll get a Lost Odyssey sequel finally.
Oh my God! Yeah, buy the rights back from the defunct Mistwalker.
They're not defunct. They're making.
Are they not?
They're making Apple Arcade games.
Oh my God! Okay, so they're one step away from being defunct. No, Sorry,
Fantasian has been rated for consoles in Taiwan or Korea.
God. Okay, Roundhouse Studios has an unannounced game. This, again, through the rumor mill, supposedly somebody saw it on like a LinkedIn posting a while back that this was supposedly a Marvel game.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be PvEVP, and that was not inspiring to me at all.
Gross. No.
Fucking gross. Like, if you were going to make something like Midnight Suns, cool, but I don't think that's happening. The other thing I had heard, and this one I put a lot more faith in, is that they were making an RTS.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, again, that's cool before you remember that they own Blizzard.
Yeah. Warcraft
and
Starcraft.
Run World's Edge. And have a long-standing partnership with companies like Paradox.
Right.
It's kind of like, why? Question mark?
Creative Assembly.
They did do a lot of the work fixing up Redfall, though.
Yeah.
They actually were listed as co-developer on Redfall.
Mm-hmm.
So I almost wonder if their game was put on hold.
Yeah. Well,
and there's Alpha Dog. Nobody really knows what Alpha Dog's doing. They did Mighty Doom, and Mighty Doom is not good.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Well, that's not a surprise.
Yeah. All right. So the last part here is Activision Blizzard.
Call of Duty.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: the Activision stuff was actually like really hard to find stuff on because most of these are actually on Call of Duty support studios now, or in some capacity. I did find that Beenox through LinkedIn, like Beenox and Toys for Bob have unannounced release. They have games in development at their own studios.
So the rumor that I heard about Toys for Bob was that this is like, and a lot of people online believe this, that they were working on a Spyro reboot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or a Spyro game in the vein of Crash 4.
Yeah.
Which again
Spyro
would not surprise me, given the prominence of Spyro in the like Activision Blizzard merger videos. Mm-hmm. That actually would not be surprising to me at all.
Yeah.
I would really like to see more Spyro or Crash, but I mean, we all know what our dream project for them is, and it goes without saying, it's Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
Which I'm 99% certain they're just being told, hey, if you want Banjo, it's right fucking there.
Yeah.
And I think Toys for Bob would jump at that, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Phil has said, again, we've said it a couple times tonight, he has explicitly said time and time again, he will not tell studios, you must work on one franchise only.
Yeah. He also said, though, that the IPs are not married to the studios that created them now, too.
So. That's the biggest one for me.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty big one. Beenox, I would put money on Beenox is working on that Guitar Hero game that Bobby Kotick floated his last week at Activision.
Yeah. God, yeah.
I mean, hey,
they did the online one though, right? That weird Guitar Hero live reboot one.
Yeah, which I heard wasn't like horrible. It was just the controller that was horrible for it.
Yeah.
This would not surprise me if they were working on a Guitar Hero reboot.
Especially,
but I really hope it stays as just Guitar Hero this time.
Especially since Fortnite is exploring their...
Yep, that's what I was going to get to. Fortnite is now with their festival, and they're going to bring in support for instruments. Now, granted, you have
PDP's making guitars. Do you see that?
Who?
PDP.
I did not see
company that usually makes shitty spin-off Wiimotes and...
I did not see that, but I still have my Guitar Hero 2 guitar in the closet to this day, my USB one. I still have it. I'm very excited for this.
Yeah.
I do hope that they're working on Guitar Hero. The problem is...
absorbed Red Octane, right? Who absorbed Red Octane? Because
MTV Games.
Yeah, I thought...
They bought Mad Catz. Mad Catz is who ultimately did.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well,
Yep. That's why, like, Epic is going to have to... If Epic has said they're not releasing new instruments, but they're going to have to see what the fan demand is. Yeah. If a Guitar Hero game comes out, then they're 100% going to make Fortnite-branded guitars.
Oh, God, yeah. Are you kidding?
Like, dude, if I can buy a fucking Peely guitar, I'll do it. I'll do it. I don't even care. I'll do it. I'll be a grown-ass man buying one. I'll fight a kid for it.
Yeah. I want one of the marshmallow person.
I think one of the things you're going to run into a problem with is, and now one that would only help Rock Band is going to see a resurgence when they start re-releasing these guitars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing is the biggest obstacle facing Guitar Hero is with Rock Band. I can still go in and play games or play songs I bought in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
I never could play old Guitar Hero songs.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do Guitar Hero, that's cool. Make it a platform, though.
Yeah. Well, that's what also, like, you can do the live thing that they did with the last thing, but also you run into the subscription issue and, like,
don't do a subscription.
The latency issue also.
I think the best thing that you could do is put out a Guitar Hero game and commit to a release schedule like Rock Band has. I mean, for years, Harmonix was paying on their own for the rights to these songs and still pay the royalties out. They still release new songs every single week for that game.
Yeah.
Microsoft would have to commit to it and commit to a platform. But if that's where you're spending royalties and like people are buying them, then what's the problem?
Yeah.
You have to make sure there's enough songs in that initial one. You got to do some free downloads at some point. The biggest thing about Harmonix was Harmonix released free stuff because they had in-house musicians working on the game who would just release jam tracks that they made up under fake names. That was always a cool thing that they did. Like, there's so much you could do here, though. And I do think it's cool, like, but keep it as like explicitly like rock and alternative, metal, except don't, like, we don't need, like, you know, Lady Gaga and stuff in here, you know. Keep it like explicitly the kind of songs that like you want to party with. Don't release 15 of these, put out a platform, have a base game for it, or like a base track pack that you get, and then there you go. There's nothing that says you can't keep doing this. I mean, they're still updated. Rock Band 4 did that and has been updated repeatedly for 8 years now. So, like, you have ways to do that. I don't know how much of a moneymaker that is in 2024, but if you give people the ability, like Rock Band did years and years ago, to make your own songs in it, then there you go. Or like import songs and then like post them like in like a creator space, like that could be really cool. Embrace that the way that you have Forza. I don't know how like rights would work with any of that. But, you know, maybe you let people like check out jam tracks and then like, oh, if we want to make this an official one, we'll go to the record companies and talk to them.
Yeah.
That used to be a Rock Band Network is what they used to call it.
Yeah.
But something like that, I think, could be a really cool avenue. Like in the Roblox, Fortnite, Minecraft era, like there are so many creative things you could do with this.
Yeah. There's a lot.
That I'd love to see Microsoft really embraced it in things like Forza and in things like Minecraft. I'd love to see them embrace it on a stage like Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
I mean, even Forge. There's going to be Forge maps played in HCS this year.
I know.
That's so cool.
I know. That's awesome.
That's awesome to me. Like, I want to see more stuff. I want to see more community creations. And I think Guitar Hero is one of the coolest places. Like, even if people just create their own songs to put in there, that could be cool. Like, look at what Clone Hero is, you know?
Yeah.
Look at imagine something like that, but like actually with funding behind it.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are some dream projects I'd like to see from those studios.
Yeah. Let's see here. So obviously Infinity Ward is working on probably the next Call of Duty, although they do have an unannounced project. Supposedly.
This unannounced project is supposedly a medieval RPG.
Yeah.
There are listings for it that like Infinity Ward Poland is working on it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So curious to see if anything comes of that.
You said Infinity Ward Poland?
Yep.
I wonder if they pulled any like ex-Witcher devs on there.
I wonder, but there are explicitly job postings for this. Like I've seen them myself.
Yeah.
So
and then Call of Duty 2024 is so unsecretively called Golf War.
Black Ops Golf War. Oh my god.
So yeah, that's cool. Sledgehammer, do we know what they're working on?
No, I think that they've been burned so much though on Call of Duty that I'd be shocked if they made another Call of Duty at this point.
Yeah. I mean,
they got hoed so many times.
Yeah.
They kept being told you'll get a full dev cycle, and then they never did, and they kept getting pulled to help with other ones.
What was their last full dev cycle? The Advanced Warfare?
World War II.
World War II?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Vanguard definitely did not get a full one because one, they had to be pulled in to help with
Warzone.
Cold War. But they had help with Warzone and Cold War and COVID hit.
Yeah.
But on top of that, their games were sent out there to die. Like, not that World War II and Vanguard are like awful games or anything. I mean, they're not like amazing, but you can't have a competitive shooter set in World War II these days.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened with Battlefield, right? I mean, everybody was so excited to go back to like, what was it? Battlefield 1, I guess, was World War
Battlefield 1 sold phenomenally. I will say that one sold like 20 million copies, sold great, but it wasn't trying to be a competitive shooter.
Yeah.
It didn't have Call of Duty League branding. Like, that's what makes it really ridiculous. And then on top of that, they put out Vanguard 2 years ago and they're told, hey, you're going to make an expansion for Modern Warfare 2. Okay, cool. An expansion. And then, oh, no, by the way, it's a full game and you've got 16 months to get it out the door.
Yeah.
And then the reports came out that they begged to make Advanced Warfare 2.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think if you did Advanced Warfare 2, that would reinvigorate the competitive scene.
Yeah.
A lot of pros consider that to be that and like Black Ops 2 to be like the golden era of online competition for Call of Duty.
Yeah, like that movement.
Well, because you had Modern Warfare 3. Think about it. We went Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2,
Ghosts,
Advanced Warfare.
Uh-huh.
Ghosts was a bit of a dud, but it was still like, it was still close enough to like Modern Warfare movement. Okay. Advanced Warfare though added like the jump jets and things like that. Like it added it added so many things. I mean, that's where Nadeshot made his name.
Yeah.
For example, that's where like Optic Gaming came up, was during Advanced Warfare.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. I wonder if Microsoft would greenlight that. I would say they're almost certainly after this year going to move to an every other year cycle.
Yeah.
And at this point, it would have to be Infinity Ward or Treyarch that decides to. The Black Ops thing has to be retired. You cannot do Black Ops Iraq War.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's basically what Gulf War is, but like you can't do like Black Ops War on Terror or something. Like we're running out of things to do here.
Yeah.
It's time to drop the Black Ops
Back
branding. God, Infinite Warfare was a catastrophe. I don't know. It's one of those things like, okay, they're going to do it. Infinity Ward's game is obviously going to get a full dev cycle, but I think they're wanting to wait and see what happens with this year's game before deciding what they do about Infinity Ward's game.
Yeah.
Because if this year is received really, really well, remember, this is the only game in franchise history with a 4-year dev cycle.
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And so if this turns out really, really good, then maybe that'll encourage Microsoft to say, hey, we got really good results here. Let's move this to an every other year title. And then in those off years, we can release something like Gears or a major Halo update, or, we can put Halo out or Overwatch or something like that.
I mean, think of all the shooters you have that you could fill in the gaps with that. Like,
yeah, your other multiplayer shooters, essentially, because
not just Halo
Call of Duty's,
or Gears, but you have you could put out a single player shooter in that space too, like Doom. Or
also, like, I'm speaking to the shareholders here, but you can charge for map packs.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Warzone is going to stand I don't think it's going to stand the test of time. I think Warzone is gone within a couple of years.
Yeah,
that game is so plagued with cheaters right now.
Yeah, or they rebuild, or Microsoft actually invests in to do it the right way, to build it from the ground up and do it correctly. And at that point, how much does that even cost?
Right. Yeah, is that even worth it at that point?
Yeah, especially when you already have games that do it and do it better, like Apex and Fortnite and these other battle royales that just do it better. The only thing is that Call of Duty has that name, and if you could make it run on mobile, that's a lot of money on the table, but it also is going to cost a lot of money to.
Yeah. Also, you're just stifling the creativity of yet another studio.
Yeah. Well, you got to make. Raven has essentially turned into that studio, though, right? You go.
I know.
On Warzone now.
you know what you're signing up for if you go there, or Treyarch or Infinity Ward. But Infinity Ward is, as we said, supposedly branching out, which would be nice. We said we'd like to see Treyarch return to that. Obviously, we all want Sledgehammer to just get off Call of Duty altogether, because they've been they got fucked 3 games in a row. They're done.
Yeah, let them do their own thing at this point.
Let them do their own thing. So much talent has been driven away from that studio now too.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's talk about Blizzard for a second, though.
Yeah, Blizzard, let's see. They have Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, which is the DLC.
Extremely excited for this.
Also, I mean, obviously Overwatch is their kind of quote unquote money maker right now in terms of seasonal stuff, but I also saw a rumor that StarCraft was in development.
StarCraft has been tossed around by a bunch of people. Jez Corden has essentially said that it's coming.
Yeah. But
Um,
not like it's like a spin-off though.
StarCraft will be quite a ways off when it comes.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm very excited about, and this has actually been verified, Blizzard is making a survival MMO.
Yeah.
A lot of us thought that could possibly be shown at BlizzCon back in November. It was not. I almost wonder if this is the one more thing that they show at the Summer Showcase.
Yeah.
What a way to end by announcing Blizzard's next game on your stage.
Yeah.
Because we're to the point where like that Summer Showcase should almost be exclusively Xbox games. You own so many fucking studios at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And like we know Vessel of Hatred is going to get a really big spotlight there. Call of Duty is probably going to get shown there. It's just a question of do they show that next IP? But Blizzard is probably the studio that's going to take the most restructuring. Just in terms of like overall studio goals, I do think that like Mike Ybarra probably shouldn't be too concerned about his job, but like should be concerned that he's going to be shifted elsewhere. I do truly think that Rod Ferguson is going to be put in charge of Blizzard as a whole by the summer. Now that once Bobby's deputies are all out of there, that's when I think the movement really. Also, obligatory fuck Bobby Kotick. He's finally gone. Thank fucking God.
Yeah.
All my homies hate Bobby Kotick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you can get, you know, and I don't think Mike is like necessarily good or bad at his job. You know, I don't really know enough about him.
Yeah.
But we know he's worked with Phil in the past. He obviously used to be a big part of Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Rod both. I personally would trust Rod to run that studio more with the changes that the culture changes that need to come with it too.
Yeah.
They're basically rebuilding
like,
from the ground up.
I feel like, no offense to Mike Ybarra, I'm sure he may be a nice enough guy or whatever, but like,
yeah,
he's still, his name still reeks of old Activision Blizzard culture. And
I mean, the whole Jen O'Neill controversy.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, Rod doesn't exactly have that attached to him in any way. And so I don't know, man. They need to, I hope they clean house, and I hope Rod gets that, you know, because, you know, Rod gets stuff done. Rod knows how to run stuff and be organized. And that's what I think Blizzard needs specifically is somebody to organize the building, quote unquote, or buildings, I guess, with 7 satellite studios, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just seems like Mike Ybarra doesn't really want to do that. It just seems that way from the outside. You know.
I'm over caring about what Mike Ybarra does or doesn't do. His little comments about like, oh, I'm not leaving unless they drag me out of the building. Cool, that can be arranged.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we have to get through here, Corey?
So we went through all the studios. I just want to run down a list of the live service and mobile games that are kind of making them some money, essentially. Their live service and MMOs: Halo Infinite, Sea of Thieves, Minecraft, Forza Motorsport, Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76, State of Decay 2 and 3 eventually, Overwatch / Overwatch 2, World of Warcraft, and Call of Duty Warzone.
Man, you look at that, and that is a gigantic list.
Yeah.
I want you to think, like, compare and contrast that with the live service efforts from Sony that we've continually heard about, where that's like a bunch of canceled games that like we've seen previews of, and we're like, we need to see some gameplay, but we're not too inspired by this. Like Fair Games,
Concord.
We've seen nothing of Concord. Destiny is obviously having its own problems. Marathon's future is being called into question.
The canceled Last of Us Online.
Yeah, the canceled Last of Us game, the rumored Horizon MMO game that's coming, which is about the only one that I have confidence in, by the way, right now.
I know.
I think that actually sounds like a pretty sweet idea for a live service game.
Yeah, Monster Hunter Horizon game sounds.
I would be totally into that. I don't like playing Horizon by myself, but I would love to play it with some friends.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at this, and like this isn't even like a complete list of like things that could be coming in the future, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't know the form that some of these games are going to take. Just, like, I don't know how you compete with that. Like, even as much as I like Nintendo, Nintendo's online sucks. Like, their idea of live service is releasing tracks for a 10-year-old Mario Kart game.
Good tracks though.
I mean,
Played a
but
lot
that's
of them.
beside the point.
I know.
Like, when you're and not to like diminish Splatoon or anything, but like Pokemon should be a slam dunk for an online title, and it's not.
Yeah.
Because Game Freak just sucks. And Nintendo like has no interest in fixing things because like, well, why should we? We still sell like 25 million copies of every Pokemon game we put out.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing with some of these. I'm like Splatoon. Like, I would love to play Splatoon, but the internet is terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I
bad.
stopped trying to play Splatoon 3 because it was so bad at launch, and like now I'm just not going to go back because I have too many other things to play.
You think of something like Smash also, like
Yeah.
Granted,
Smash got a ton of support.
I just want to say you could put Smash out for free and do a season pass like every 3 months of like new costumes, characters.
It would be the best selling. It'd be the best selling fighter pass on the planet.
Yeah, it would be. It would
be only Fortnite would be stronger than it.
Yeah, it would be up there with Fortnite though.
I would be buying them because we also know how Nintendo does things. Nintendo doesn't like things to be delisted. They would keep them up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be all in on that. One other thing I feel like we should add to, it's not necessarily like live service, but it is an online franchise that's starting to gain some momentum again. Killer Instinct.
Yeah, I know.
That anniversary update came out, and there's been a lot of rumors the last couple of years about Killer Instinct coming back.
That rumor.
We know that
Bandai Namco is working on one.
That Bandai Namco was supposedly working on it, but what's their name?
Iron Galaxy.
Iron Galaxy. I keep wanting to say Double Helix or whatever the team was that made the original one.
Yeah, well, they got bought by Amazon and then shut down.
They got bought by Amazon and immediately run into the ground, by the way.
Yeah.
Like every Amazon studio. But I look at this list and you got a little bit of everything. You've got shooters in Halo Infinite, obviously when Gears comes back. You've got Call of Duty. You've got your actual MMOs in Elder Scrolls Online and World of Warcraft. You've got, obviously Overwatch is a shooter also, but that's more of an arena shooter, right? You've got your more like quirky games, like, well, you're like survival games, your Minecraft, your State of Decay, your Fallout 76. You got Sea of Thieves, which really doesn't fit into anything, right? Mm-hmm. But each of these games is like a top tier in its category, with the very notable exception of Overwatch, is like a top tier in its category.
You can't say that it wasn't.
No, it was, but the damage that has been done to that IP may not be able to be undone.
Yeah,
Overwatch 2 has been nothing short of a catastrophe.
I wonder if you could just come back and say, especially under Microsoft now, and like maybe they look at that and be like, we have to revitalize this. This franchise could be potentially huge again for us. Let's go in and be like, hey, we're just going to call it Overwatch. We're going to, take esport feedback and see what works or whatever, and like really try to revitalize it, because like I was really into Overwatch for like a year.
We just talked about how like Blizzard needs a lot of changes. Overwatch and Hearthstone have been basically destroyed by current leadership. Well, now past leadership and past decisions by Bobby Kotick in particular. Those two could be so big. Those could be cornerstone franchises for you.
Right.
But you're going to have to take the time. You're going to have to invest a lot of money, a lot of manpower, and you're going to have to go on a hiring spree probably to fix these games.
Yeah. And get the right people in there, even if.
And I think that like if you put Overwatch on kind of the back burner, just kind of like let Overwatch 2 do what it's doing, which is not much.
Yeah.
Relaunch it in a couple of years.
Well, its 10th anniversary is 2 years from now. Let it run.
I think that's when you do the relaunch.
Yeah. That would be.
And if the pattern holds with Call of Duty, maybe that's an off year for Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you could get this out, because maybe you still put a Call of Duty out next year, and then they are adamant that this next console cycle is starting in 2026 or 2027.
Yeah.
So
I can't believe that.
I can't either. But you look at how much time we lost, right?
Yeah.
So and it's funny because
whatever,
we haven't even tapped into what these consoles can do, but like we remember back to like the Xbox One and PS4, and it's like, well, yeah, that was a 7-year cycle, and 2027 would be 7 years.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, cycles are typically 5 to 7 years, so I'm just there. It seems like Microsoft is intent on abandoning traditional console cycles like Nintendo has, and it's just going to be like kind of like how the Steam Deck competitors have come out, like, oh yeah, we're gonna release this, and then like in like 3 or 4 years we're gonna release a more beefed up version.
Yeah.
I think that becomes confusing though, as to, well, does the Xbox I have, or does the Switch I have, or the PlayStation I have play the games I wanted to play?
Right.
I think that's the only thing that consoles really like have to clearly define.
Yeah.
But that may not be a problem with the next avenue that they're pursuing here.
Yeah.
Which is our last topic.
Yeah.
The mobile suite.
Mobile space, right? I mean, so again, this was just a quick kind of search of what they've done so far. This doesn't have any indication of what's coming or what they're changing or anything. Because I did see a rumor that they're going to try to bring Overwatch to mobile at some point.
I've seen that same rumor. Age of Mythology also.
Yeah. So there is an Age of Empires mobile game also that I didn't feel like was worth putting on here.
No, but I think the next one is being directly overseen by World's Edge.
Yeah. Candy Crush Saga and that suite of games. I think there's 5 or 6 games in there. So like Soda Saga, Friend Saga, Farm Hero Saga, and Farm Hero Super Saga, Pet Rescue Saga. We have Blossom Blast Saga.
They're all match 3 games, is what they are.
Yeah. Essentially, the entire suite of King games are all match 3 games. And then you have Call of Duty Mobile. You have Crash Bandicoot on the Run, which is that infinite runner.
Yeah.
You have Diablo Immortal. Hearthstone, and then Warcraft Rumble, and then Mighty Doom is their mobile suite right now. Which, I mean,
I would.
Is also in here, and
I would say if I could wager a couple of guesses, we'll get another Fallout Shelter style game, probably greatly expanded now.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me to see some older games like Banjo-Kazooie brought to mobile.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think Rare Replay, most of those games would be great to bring to mobile.
Yeah, especially with like the backbone, like you could.
Yeah, Microsoft's really going to have to build up that mobile suite, and it's going to be like, well, you want to appeal to people. You want to have games that are small enough to download to the phone, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be a big deal of it. So I wonder if like those will be some of the things that we see, and then like a handful of indies. I think things like Tell Me Why will come. Battletoads is kind of perfect for that. Maybe a Killer Instinct mobile.
Yeah.
These are things I could see possibly happening in the future. By no means am I saying it's actually going to happen. Those are things I could see happening. But I think the perception around what mobile gaming has to change first. And I think that's probably their biggest challenge is whenever we hear mobile, most of us just roll our eyes, right? Because we think of things like Candy Crush.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to remind everybody of what Epic made with Infinity Blade. I really thought Infinity Blade was going to change mobile gaming.
Yeah.
And not enough of us played it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, people played it to where they made 3 of them. So
they have supposedly talked to lots of partners about a mobile suite that they want to launch, and they want to announce and launch a mobile suite this year. And who are some of their partners? I might remind everybody in cloud gaming. Oh yeah, Epic Games is one of their biggest partners because you can play Fortnite through the cloud with Xbox Cloud Gaming. Mm-hmm. That will be huge. Can you imagine being able to promote, hey, our service lets you play Fortnite on it.
Right.
On any device in the world.
Right.
They have a partnership with EA. Apex Legends is part of our suite. You can play it on any device in the entire world. Mm-hmm. No gaming PC necessary. You can just open up a browser window and play it with no latency issues.
Especially since they just shut down Apex Legends Mobile. Like, you can play the full version now.
Yeah. Like, what if you could tie Apex in on that? Like you would have the 3 biggest battle royales on your service. Mm-hmm. There, Gear Tactics 2, maybe, as a mobile game. Mm-hmm. There's no limit to what you can do. It's a matter of, I would like to see like the Halo Spartan Assault games. I'd like to see another one of those, maybe a twin stick shooter. I think something like that could be cool. Some of these older Double Fine games like Costume Quest.
Mm-hmm. God, Costume
Quest
would be awesome on mobile. I'm shocked it's
give me
not
Costume Quest 3, you motherfuckers. I love Costume Quest.
Costume Quest.
Yeah, give me another Costume Quest game. Give me some of these older games from the older studios. There's nothing that says you can't get me. Obviously KOTOR is already on mobile. Give me KOTOR 2.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's already on mobile
I think
too.
it is.
But give me some of these older games. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with being like, oh yeah, we're gonna bring a handful of classic Xbox originals to not just Game Pass, but we're gonna bring them to mobile also.
Yeah. Put Halo 1 on there.
Put Halo 1 on there. Why not? Like maybe you don't have the multiplayer on it, but you could technically bring the Master Chief Collection multiplayer suite for Halo 1 over. I don't think they would.
We just fixed it on console. Please don't try to put it on another.
Yeah, let's not fuck it up after the guys who fixed it left.
Yeah. Please.
I actually think they're directing Halo Infinite's multiplayer now. I'm pretty sure they joined Certain Affinity, but yeah, there's a handful of things. I mean, Perfect Dark 1. There's no reason. Perfect Dark 1, Conquer Live and Reloaded. Like there's Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo 2. Like there's no reason why these games can't be on GoldenEye. There's no reason these games cannot come to mobile.
Yeah.
You could have a kick-ass mobile suite, and it's just this is the next great challenge for them. They've changed how we think about subscription services. Now, how do we think about mobile? Because mobile, the idea around mobile gaming sucks.
Yeah.
Change it. They are the one company that is in the position to change that.
Yeah.
Other companies, it's going to take them years to build this up. We thought Nintendo was going to be the one to do it, and then Nintendo just put out a bunch of like runners and gacha games.
Yeah. I mean,
they made one good game.
What, Mario Run?
No.
Dr. Mario?
That original IP that they put out.
Dragoon Lost or whatever?
Yeah, Dragalia Lost or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
That game was pretty cool. I liked the Fire Emblem game until it became a pay-to-win game. I still think Fire Emblem would be like one of the best franchises to go mobile.
Yeah.
Partner with Atlas and do a Persona mobile. I know Persona 5X is a thing in China right now. Mm-hmm. Be the partner to bring it to smartphones.
Yeah.
You're already in bed with them. You might as well keep it going.
Right.
So, man, you could have a kick-ass mobile suite though. They very quietly have acquired a lot of mobile teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they were clear about King. Like, King is a big reason why we want this. And I think it's because of the continual revenue they get off of Candy Crush.
Yeah.
But two, if you're going to make this push into mobile, go in and tell King, hey, guess what, guys? You can make real games now. We're still going to keep Candy Crush. But the rest of y'all get to make real games now. That's insane. That's like 5,000 developers working on mobile games right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot you can do. But, man... What a future.
Yeah.
What a future lineup if they can just start getting those games out.
Let me ask you, Josh, how do you feel about Xbox now as compared to this time last year when we were kind of talking about it on Tower Casuals?
I mean, I still feel the same. I still feel pretty hopeful. I personally enjoyed the games they put out last year. The question hasn't been about the quality for quite some time. It's been about the volume.
Yeah.
And...
Well, I think if you ask some people who don't play Xbox, they would tell you that Xbox has no games.
And I mean, that's fair because a lot of the really good games, a lot of the really special games they've had have been smaller games. Yeah. They're only going to see, they're going to see the numerical score for Starfield and like, another Forza game. Like, okay, while ignoring the fact there hasn't been a mainline Forza in 6 years.
Yeah.
But I think you look at the overall, because like I was going back and looking at some of the scores that have been given out on average when people were accusing like Destin and IGN of hating Xbox. And since Gears 5, they've given like 8s and above to almost every single Microsoft published game. Like Gears 5, I think got an 8.5. Ori Will of the Wisps got a 9. Tell Me Why got like a 7 or an 8. Gears Tactics got a really good score. Halo Infinite got a 9. Psychonauts 2 was a Game of the Year contender, for God's sake. Pentiment got a perfect score. Hi-Fi Rush got a 9. Starfield, obviously, like 7.5 from them, but like an 84 on Metacritic. An 84 is not bad. Ghost of Tsushima has an 85.
Yeah.
And that's one of the best games on the PlayStation platform. Like... we have to get over this idea of a numerical score meaning like being the end all for everything. And I know for a lot of casual gamers it is, but Xbox has been clear about their strategy for a while. They're clearly not changing it. I just think we've gotten the appetizers so much, but the main course hasn't delivered.
Yeah.
The main course both sides have got to deliver this year. And I think right now, of the 6 games that we know for this year, We know about Towerborn. We know about Flight Sim. We know about Aura. Those are the three I want to lead off with. Those are your appetizers. Those are your appetizers. Those are the ones you know what they're about.
Yeah.
We all know what Flight Sim is about. Aura, if you like RTSs on the PC, you're gonna play it. If not, guess what? You can check it out next year on console. Age of Mythology Retold is coming at some point. Again, you know what it's all about. Towerborn is essentially Castle Crashers for this generation. Really excited for that. You got Call of Duty, which is like your kind of in-between thing. Like either you really like it or you really don't. There's no in-between. And I still wonder if the strategy with Game Pass changes with Call of Duty, if that's going to become an exception and like, no, y'all are still paying us $70 for this game.
Yeah.
Then you got your entrees. You got your entrees that we know about with Hellblade and Avowed. And I still think there's room for two more bigger games and maybe a smaller or medium-sized game that we don't know about, which would be the Double Fine game or something like that. And hypothetically, like probably Forza Horizon 6 this year, let's be honest. Yeah. And like South of Midnight.
And the more and more I'm thinking, I'm thinking more and more that I've talked myself into South of Midnight maybe coming out this fall.
How good of a lineup would that be, though? Like, if you look at that, and if anybody says that is a lackluster lineup, I just don't know if you're ever going to convince them otherwise.
I mean,
because that would be multiple new IPs.
I've been kind of done. I've been kind of done trying to convince people that Xbox has good games because they'll just argue with you. And like,
I will too. I don't think it's just like that they have good games, and I will say, like, if you're going to argue that they don't have the AAA support, I'll 100% agree with you on that. They don't.
Yeah.
They haven't.
That's not what I'm arguing, but like I'm still talking about like you look at Pentiment, like a 10 out of 10 that nobody outside of like a small group of Xbox fans probably played because, but it was still like an amazing game.
I will say this, I feel like you have probably the best variety in games coming from Xbox right now, like both in their current games and in the games that we know are coming. Mm-hmm. We just went over the live service games, for example, like just there alone, they have a great variety. But then you add in things like, you add in your Grounded, your Pentiments, your Psychonauts, your Hi-Fi Rushes. You add in these like kind of in-between pieces, your Flight Sims, your Age of Empires. Like, I don't know how you can argue that's not arguably the most diverse lineup. Like, I love PlayStation Studios games. Where's the diverse lineup there?
I mean, I would argue that PlayStation doesn't have nearly as many games out. This reminds me of the PS2 era, to be honest. For PlayStation 5, like
it reminds me of the PS. I won't say PS2. I'll say this reminds me of the PS3.
Oh, I would. Yeah, I'm just saying like they don't have a lot of exclusives. Like, what are their exclusives that? I mean, I would say out of War Horizon or PS4 games. Well,
I mean, at this point, I think that platform differentiation doesn't really matter. Like, they came out on the current console and they're not remakes, so I'm going to go ahead and count them. But I mean, in terms of like the quality of their games, has been really good. It's just most of them kind of feel samey at this point.
Yeah,
they're all third-person single-player action adventure games, and I mean, granted, they've managed to make several of them feel different. Like Ghost of Tsushima feels totally different from Spider-Man or from The Last of Us or Horizon, but the thing is, I think like when I look over at Xbox, I'm going, and this is definitely a personal preference, I'm seeing a better rate. I'm seeing Horizon as a better racer for my taste than Gran Turismo. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing tons of RPGs that I want to play. PlayStation doesn't make RPGs in-house.
Yeah. Well,
they rely on their relationship with Square Enix, and that's about it.
Well, I mean, you look at their, and we'll wrap up this topic because we still have other things to talk about. But
yeah,
you look at this year alone, the games that we said maybe will come out this year, right? Like Hellblade, different from Avowed, different from Forza Horizon, different from South of Midnight, right? Like those 4 titles,
different from Towerborn, Flight Sim,
yeah, like those
Call of Duty,
those 6 titles right there, though, they're all different,
and they're all varying sizes too,
yeah,
and they're all completely unique experiences. And I think that's like when I think about that. And I think about the future lineup, like even if I'm removing the Activision Blizzard stuff, because it's the first year, I don't really count those. It's like, oh, that's an Xbox thing. Like they're not going to be able to get their like mitts in there, really, right? I still think like, damn, that's a pretty good lineup. Even if you remove Call of Duty and the Diablo expansion from what we know are coming this year, that's still a really good lineup of games. Like those are like, that's like the dessert after the meal.
Right.
Oh yeah, on top of all that, you're getting these also.
Right.
These are also a part of our ecosystem now.
Right.
So I mean I feel hopeful for the brand in a way that I haven't in a while. I don't think that games, to circle back around to how we originally got onto this topic, I don't think games coming to other platforms should concern fans.
Yeah.
Now, if it starts happening to the bigger titles, like you said, then yeah, that's cause for concern, because at that point you're probably walking back what you promised. But hate to tell you guys, that new Blizzard MMO, that's coming to all platforms when it comes out, buddy. They want to make money off that game, and it's an MMO. You cannot lock that to PC and one console.
Right. I mean, the rare exception is World of Warcraft, right? And that's
World of Warcraft. Yeah, it's never coming to console, guys.
No.
Just get over it.
No. And, I mean, who would want it on console at this point anyway? It's 20 years old, you know?
It's 20 years old. Like, those rumors have been around since the 360 came out.
Yeah. I mean, even Square Enix broke and is bringing Final Fantasy to Xbox, right? I mean,
though that's the Sarah Bond effect right there.
My God, dude, I'm excited, dude. I'm waiting.
So happy she's in charge.
I've been waiting. Like I see the free trial on PlayStation all the time when I'm on the store looking for like, the PS Plus games or whatever. I'm like, I want to try it. I really do. But I'm waiting for Xbox, and then when they announced it, I'm like, yes, the waiting paid off, Josh. The waiting paid off. I'm gonna have my sexy bunny lady running around. You know.
Oh my God, I can't stand you. I hate it here so much.
All right, Josh. Let's get out of this discussion. Let's where are we going to go first? Memorable moments.
Yeah, let's kind of fire these off rapidly.
All right.
So we can get to our top tens.
Well, one unfortunately memorable moment was all the layoffs last year. 2023.
Yeah, we simply can't have any discussion about 2023 without acknowledging that.
I think it was one of the best years for games, one of the worst years for developers
ever. Yeah.
And I think we would be doing everyone a disservice if we didn't say that game development is hard, and last year was proof all around across the board at this point. What was the stat? Something like 12,000 people lost their jobs last year.
10,500 was the final total that I saw today, which is up from 8,500 in 2022.
Right. And I mean, I guess it would be 1,200 if you include all the layoffs that happened today at Unity.
Yeah, if you were to combine all three of those statistics together, that's essentially the equivalent of laying off like all of Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
That's how many people got laid off last year, just to like give you an idea.
Yeah. That were reported.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that, you know, sometimes things are unavoidable. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes your game just doesn't sell, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And with a lot of indie studios, like that's kind of the reality. And then you have people like Embracer and Tiny Build who just fucking suck.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught it, but did you see that Tiny Build told Versus Evil that they were closing the studio effective immediately 2 days before Christmas?
What?
Yep. They officially told them the morning of December 23rd that they were closing the studio effective immediately.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yep. That made me I got off the internet for a couple days at that point.
Remember when we thought when Telltale closed immediately that was going to be the last of the surprise closures? Naively thought.
Yeah, and then remember, and then Free Radical is officially closed again.
Yeah.
Embracer has said they're still not done slashing jobs either. They still have like a lot more to get down to the stated goal that they have.
Well, they have to make up that $2 billion that they were promised from the Saudi government fund.
Dude, this is such a catastrophe. I don't even know what to say anymore. But despite like all the closures, you've had a few studios that have managed to like rise above everything else and like just deliver on both a professional and a personal level and with their workers. And those are, you know, Larian and Remedy should absolutely be lauded for what they accomplished this year.
Yeah.
Both in art and like humanitarianly.
Yeah.
Like they still did it somehow, but like even the success of Baldur's Gate 3 wasn't enough for Wizards of the Coast to keep most of their games people.
Yeah.
That's why I refuse to get excited about that Exodus game. Like, oh no, that's being published by Wizards. I don't trust this at all.
Yeah.
I don't trust this at all. Like, they are heavily invested in this game. Nope.
Yeah.
So I don't know really where you go from here. Like, Microsoft was no exception to this. Microsoft laid off a bunch of people at the beginning of the year. Across 343, the Coalition, Turn 10, all three of them got hit.
Yep.
It seems like their smaller studios pretty much remained intact, though.
Yeah. Also, a lot
And
of that
kept hiring.
A lot of that too was the tech side of stuff.
It was the tech side, and a lot of people who worked on like campaign stuff for 343 were among those who were let go. Obviously, we covered the Bungie catastrophe pretty heavily on Tower Casuals. You guys can go there for a full discussion of that. By far, one of the ones that got the most attention this year, and like rightfully so, because of the way it was done and because of Bungie's reputation, as always being like worker first, and then that was all sham. Naughty Dog had some pretty notable layoffs this year. I'm not going to go into it. I've already decided I'm not going to discuss any leaked material, but there was indication in some of the stuff that came out from the Insomniac hack that Insomniac had been planning layoffs. Sony had directed them to do layoffs, even though Spider-Man 2 had just done amazing. But we don't know if those are still going to happen or not. And of course, that comes out the week of Christmas. So
yeah,
God, that was also like one of the probably the biggest breach in gaming history happens. That's another story. Obviously we're not going to talk about the specifics of it, but that was horrible.
Yeah,
that was another horrible thing that happened coming in kind of the tail end of the year. There are people who have talked about it way more intelligently than I can, and more eloquently than I can. There was some really good reporting done around it. Rebecca Valentine and Matt Kim did some really good reporting over at IGN. I know Greg Miller and them talked about it pretty extensively on PS I Love You, or PSXOXO, whatever the fuck it's called these days. They had some good discussions over there. So I would direct you to more like sources that know the business side of things rather than me, who is just trying to tiptoe around like what I should and should not talk about regarding it.
Yeah.
We had some positives though this year, though, Corey.
We did. We had a few positives, Josh.
We had positives. The Activision Blizzard King purchase finally is over.
Yeah. Finally.
That's a positive. I don't care how you feel about it. I still don't like it, but at least it's over.
Not having to talk about this court case anymore is positive.
I'm done. I have become I feel like I have gotten an overnight degree in studying mergers and acquisitions, and I know way more about that than any normal person should at this point. I think a lot of gamers feel that way, who were trying to understand it. There are obviously a bunch of Twitter lawyers became overnight popularity sensations in the gaming community, explaining it to people.
Yeah.
I'm glad that saga's finally over.
Yep.
We had an awesome summer show. On the Xbox side of things, we had an awesome summer showcase.
Yeah. I mean, Xbox had a pretty big year.
Is that their best summer showcase they've ever done?
I mean, it's close. If it's not the best, it's close.
I mean, it's really, for me, it's the best of the last couple of years.
Yeah. They've had some pretty big bangers. I would argue that
it's funny that we've had this conversation like 3 years in a row now.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that these Cyberpunk and Redfall stuff was cool, aside from knowing what Redfall became.
Yeah.
I think the Redfall ending on Redfall and Cyberpunk stuff was super cool.
I think when I think about summer showcase moments that are gonna sit with me for a while, I don't think they really had. It's funny, like their ending moment this year was the 1 terabyte Series S, which was a huge dud after we just got Clockwork Revolution shown to us, and we're like, oh my god, what's going to be the one more thing? Like, what are we seeing? What are we going to see here? And then it was that, and we were like, what the fuck, really? I think at that point, like we were like, oh my god, are we going to see like Grand Theft Auto? Are we going to get like Persona 6 announced? Like, what are we going to get here? Is it going to be a big third party game? Is it going to be like The Witcher 4? And it's a 1 terabyte Series S, which, by the way, is gathering dust at every fucking Target that I've been to in the last 3 months.
Right.
I have not seen a single one of those sold. They're totally sold out of Series X's, but the 1 terabyte Series S is gathering dust.
Yeah,
because it's basically the same price now.
Yeah. Man, I
Opening with Fable was a huge move, though.
Yeah, I was bold. I mean,
When they opened with that, I was like, "What? There's no way!"
I mean, opening with Fable, and then South of Midnight, and then Star Wars being that third thing that they revealed this year was awesome, dude. Star Wars Outlaws looks fucking awesome.
God, I hope it's good.
It's massive. I would assume it's at least pretty good.
Yeah. I've become really disillusioned with Ubisoft open world games.
Yeah, but say what you will about the Division, the mechanics of the game.
I'm not arguing that. I worry about the story.
No, yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
I'm absolutely concerned about the story here.
I mean,
and I play Star Wars games for the story.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. This reminds me of that not Star Fox game they made for Switch with the toys.
Oh, Starlink.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I fucking loved Starlink.
Do I still have it on my shelf?
Like going to the different.
I don't.
And stuff.
I bought it specifically for the Switch, despite knowing it was obviously the bad version, just to get the Star Fox content.
I mean, it was the best Star Fox game since Star Fox 64. Can we admit that?
I mean, you're not wrong. That's not a high bar to clear.
No, but Ubisoft made it, which
that's true. You're not talking me into this, Corey. No, the summer showcase was awesome. So much of it was first party or like these awesome indies. They expanded on our Japanese partnerships. We got 3 Atlas games announced during it. Mm-hmm. Metaphor looks awesome. That's going to be a really cool game when it comes out. 33 Immortals is something I'm really looking forward to also. Mm-hmm. That huge like 33 person co-op game.
Yep.
That looks pretty rad. What else did we get this year that was pretty cool? Starfield finally came out.
Yeah, Starfield finally came out.
I think that's why I like the summer showcase so much. Is it was so good, and then it's like, oh, we just had this great show that would have been amazing on its own, and then they were like, oh, by the way, here's 40 minutes of Starfield. Go crazy.
Yeah.
Which, regardless of what you think of the final game, that was such an effective direct.
Yeah, that was. I think that's what that game needed. To be honest with you.
It was, and like I see people going back and be like, we knew nothing about the story going in. Yeah, that's what I kind of loved about it. Like, yeah, the story needed, like, the characters needed to be better, but I think the overall plot line is fascinating for that game. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I don't really have any other ones. Do you? The announcement of Blade.
I mean, dude, your reaction I think your reaction was the most memorable moment.
Yeah, for those of you who if for some reason you don't listen to Tower Casuals, we were recording one of our last shows of the year and had the Game Awards up at the same time, and I absolutely
adjust your volume accordingly.
I was squealing and jumping out of my chair when they announced Blade. I couldn't believe it, and then they followed it up with OD, and goddamn, man.
Yeah,
that we got the Hellblade trailer. Oh my god,
dude!
Like,
that Hellblade trailer, the last one
that like maybe the best looking game I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, with
graphics wise,
the combat and the story stuff they showed in that last trailer, and just dude, I am so fucking stoked for Hellblade. And like,
I
think it's because I know what the game's going to be, and my expectations are set based off the last game.
You have expectations set accordingly. There's going to be a lot of people who are like, what?
I know people want this to be Xbox's like God of War equivalent. It's not going to be that big, guys. It's going to be a 10 to 12 hour experience, linear experience. Sorry, I'm telling you.
Yep.
It's going to be a great experience, but it's going to be that experience. So. I thought, by the way, we're replaying that game for book club, the first one.
I need to go back and finish it.
Oh, dude, it's so good. You need to, it's so good. Oh, the ending, man. Oh, the ending gives you goosebumps.
I need to finish it.
Finish it, Josh. Finish it. Do it.
Do it.
But that's it for me in terms of memorable moments. Shout out to Stalker 2. We didn't really talk about it in the last segment, but they're a feel-good moment that they are surviving. And
man, them and Sad Cat.
Yeah. Replaced is this game?
Replaced, yeah. Those are probably like the two biggest non-Microsoft games that are like on their lineup this year.
Mhm.
That are they're both timed exclusives. They're both coming to Game Pass day one. But the last time we saw both of them back in 2021 for Replaced, that was one of the highlights of that E3 for me.
Mhm.
I remember like a lot of us were really shocked that like, oh man, that and Stalker, like, why are these games like two of the best things that we saw?
Yeah.
And then of course, the war in Ukraine broke out. Sad Cat has moved completely out of Belarus.
Yeah.
I don't remember where I think they relocated to Poland or Finland, one of the
I
two.
think it's Poland.
And the Stalker team is I can never remember, a GSC Game World, I think is the name of the studio. It sounds like a fucking scam, by the way.
It sounds like a cheap gaming conference that like
right.
Can't afford to go to Gamescom, but I'm going to go to GSC Game World. But yeah, sorry, I know we're making fun of your name, but your situation is very serious, and we really
also they're getting hacked like every other week. It feels like,
and their studio caught fire. Remember that,
dude? One of their lead programmers literally died in the war.
Yeah, like man.
It is just that is one of those games that like back in the day, I played some Stalker 1 back in the day, and I really enjoyed it. Stalker 2 is something I never thought would actually see the light of day because it was such a scam for so long.
Yeah.
And then it like actually started happening. I really liked what we saw at that E3. I like what we've seen, since then, the little updates that we've gotten. I will probably only dabble in this game because it just doesn't it's not my style of game anymore, but I will absolutely be buying a physical copy of this game if possible.
Yeah.
To support that studio, to support that team. Replaced is another one that even though it's coming to Game Pass, I'll be buying that day one. I believe in supporting feel-good stories like that and humanitarian stories.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really really big point for me in a year where so many people have lost their jobs. Like, you shouldn't have to lose your job on top of your game not selling well.
Yeah,
and on top of your country being literally ripped apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for no reason other than
for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really hopeful for those games.
Yeah, I mean that story hits home for me because my wife's family is involved. Because that's my wife's family is from there, and still over there. So it's rough. That's rough. Yeah. Well, Josh, we should probably talk about our games of the year.
We should probably move on to that. I think that's our last real big topic tonight.
Yeah, I don't.
Other than our what's coming to Game Pass.
That topic is we'll fly through that.
Out of this 6-page document.
Yeah. How do we want to do Game of the Year? Just go back and forth real quick on our top 10s of the year.
Yeah, we can do that. I did have I had a couple categories I wanted to go through real quickly. You don't get time to really think about them. I'm ambushing you here.
Ambush. Okay.
What is the best game from your backlog that you played this year? Best game that did not release in 2023.
I have an answer for this. Hold on. I have a real answer for this. I wrote down every game I played this year and when it came out. I just have to find it. I'm sorry.
I'm impressed. I'm gonna give my winner and my runner up real quick. My winner is Persona 4 Golden. It's not even a contest. That's what I've written down here. It's not even a question. It's not only the best game from my backlog I played, it's one of the 12 best games I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
If Persona 5 didn't exist, it would probably be the best JRPG of all time for me. So yeah, it's awesome. My runner up was Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yeah, good one.
Really love that. That's how I spent my spring after the disappointment of Lightfall. I played a lot of Japanese games.
Nice.
What was your story?
Mine was Miles Morales.
Hell yeah,
dude! That's the best thing I've played from PlayStation in a long time.
It's probably the best PS5 game in my opinion.
Yeah, I
think Ragnarok is the only thing that compares for me. It's certainly the best.
It's the best Spider-Man game for sure.
It's the best Spider-Man game.
It's incredible, and
we need more AAA games that are that size and that length.
Yeah. Unlike you, I knew very, very, very little about Miles Morales going into this, except for that he was the second Spider-Man, right? That's all I knew about him. And I was captivated by the story, by his life, by the characters, and Genki is great, and Finn is a great character, a great take on that character. The deaf girl that I can never remember, Haley, I think is her name, is a really interesting kind of character. And I love Miles Morales. I love the character. I love the game. I love the pacing.
This is the best version of Miles too, by the way.
The pacing was amazing. Like, I wish more AAA games would take a look at Miles Morales and say, let's aim for something like this. A tight 6 to 12 hour experience. You can have open world and extra stuff to do, but like, here's the pacing of the story. Here's the pacing of the characters. Here's their relationships. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's why I love Uncharted so much. It's why, it's why I don't think I like God of War as much as everybody else seemed to.
That's fair.
Too long. It's way too long.
I mean, that's fair.
Miles Morales was definitely the best game I played last year, for sure.
What was your favorite music in a game?
I mean, does the Miles Morales soundtrack count as that?
No, has to be a game released in 2023.
Shit. Okay. I would have to say that my favorite music, I would say that I really enjoyed the music in Ravenlock, if that makes sense. That game was a game that came out on Game Pass in June, I think.
You were the only person I know who has played this game, so
it's really cute. And
I did not enjoy the studio's previous game.
Yeah,
so
Echo Generation didn't do anything for me, but this
I declined to play this one, but it is still installed because you have talked it up so much for me.
Also, shout out to Hi-Fi Rush.
I have Final Fantasy 16 on here, with my runner-ups being Sea of Stars and Hi-Fi Rush.
By the way, can we talk about for a second how good Final Fantasy 16 fucking is?
Oh, we're getting to that, buddy.
I got it over break. Like, I just got it and was playing it. I'd like, oh my gosh, if I played more of it, it might be my game of the year. It's fucking awesome.
What is your more? So this is the More Time in the Oven Award, but I have moved to rename it the Redfall in Memoriam Award.
Redfall in Memoriam Award.
Because I don't think that any game deserves this more than Redfall, other than Modern Warfare 3. I think Modern Warfare 3 makes a very strong case for this award.
Yeah, I haven't.
I would actually probably put Modern Warfare 3. I just think it's funnier to call it the Redfall in Memoriam Award. Yeah. A friend of mine motioned to call it the Konami Games Presents Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear Solid 5 award, and that made me laugh really hard.
Yeah. I would actually not nearly to the extent of Modern Warfare or Redfall, but I would put Jedi Survivor in this category.
Oh, I would not.
It crashed on me 3 times when I bought it.
That's great. That game actually got fixed in a timely manner, though.
I know, it got fixed after I finished it.
Yeah, same here. But I bumped it down to 30 frames. I pushed through, and there's a reason why that game is so high on my list.
It's high on my list too. But I think it could have used a little bit more time to, make it.
I got 2 more for you. Best style. So, like, what game basically achieved its goal the best in terms of like graphics, music, the whole package? Like, what feels like the most complete vision of what the game would be in an elevator pitch?
Oh, God.
For me, it's Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush is the easy winner here, but also shout out to Final Fantasy 16.
My runner-up was Persona 5 Tactics.
Nice.
That is a game that I did not expect. That's my biggest surprise of the year, too. That's not a category on here, but that is my biggest surprise of the year. I cannot believe how much I liked that game and how well Persona translated to being an RTS.
Yeah. I also... shout out to Mario Wonder. Was actually pretty good at this.
I had Tears of the Kingdom as my other runner-up.
Yeah. I had a hard time picking Tears of the Kingdom for anything just because I feel like I've played the game already.
I did too, and we're going to get to it, but...
Although I did get captured by it over break a little bit. So,
best moment you experienced in a game this year.
God, dude.
So I have several. I'm going to read off a few here before I get to my winner.
You read a couple.
The Ifrit versus Titan fight in Final Fantasy 16. I'm really sorry if I just spoiled something for you.
You probably did, but I'll forget by the time we hang up.
Also, the fight that comes after it. Those 2 fights back to back was just incredible. It is everything I've ever wanted in an action game. I forgot I was playing an RPG for a while there. I was just beating the shit out of other monsters. It was great. I loved it. The New Game Plus reveal in Starfield.
Yeah, we talked
the
about
reveal
that
of
on our
what
spoiler cast.
Yep, the reveal of what it is. We talked about that. I also talked about the moment at the end of Act 2, the pivotal moment with your crew. Again, we did a whole spoiler cast if you want to go listen to my thoughts on those. Callum Marin taking down the Walker on Jeddah.
Yeah.
With the Doctor Strange type portals.
It was cool.
Really, really loved that.
Just talk about how great Cal Kestis and Marin are.
God, dude, goals. I love it. Cameron Monaghan is so fucking good.
And I'm not just talking about how much I want them to have little, Dark Sister babies. I think they're just great characters in general. But
and Tina Ivlev, who portrays Marin, is incredible also. Just God, so good. You finished Spider-Man 2, correct?
Yes.
The reveal in Oscorp and then who you get to play as after that.
Oh, see, that didn't do anything for me.
Oh, that was an incredible moment. I was not expecting to get to play as that person. That was awesome. That was fucking great. I love that. And then I have one more in here, and it's the bread quest from Sea of Stars.
Wow. Yeah.
Because best moment doesn't have to mean just like the moment that made you jump out of your chair. It can be the best moment in the game, and that was the most moving moment in a game for me. I cried real tears.
Yeah.
Obviously, only games released in 2023. Otherwise, half of these moments would be Persona 4 Golden. Corey, hit me with a couple of yours. We'll get to my winner after that.
Okay.
After that, we'll get to my winner.
Right. So I would say the whole Zelda story arc, of Zelda the character,
Okay.
her kind of arc, and the Master Sword pull, that whole thing was pretty stellar. I also really enjoyed finding the Dragon Tears to tell the story of that. I would say, let's see, the Walker fight, or the portal fight in Star Wars was pretty awesome.
Yep.
Those two really, really stand out. I think the opening of the opening couple hours of Final Fantasy 16 are pretty powerful. Again, I need to play more of that game to really say, hey, there's more memorable moments, but I think that opening was awesome.
For sure.
I also want to shout out the unforgivable curses in Hogwarts Legacy that you can just
oh my God,
roll around the castle and nobody blinks an eye. It's so funny. Man, those are good. That's a good one for me too.
What is your winner in this category? I kind of thought we were going to end up with the same one. Do you have a winner?
I mean, I still think, like, as much as I was less enthused with Tears of the Kingdom, I still think the story was 1,000 times better.
I'm really glad that we're on the same page here.
And I feel that Tears of the Kingdom story, it might be the best story Nintendo's ever told.
I won't go that far when Wind Waker exists, but I'm not arguing with you either.
I mean, it's up there. My top 3 stories for Nintendo are all Zelda games.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to argue with that. Also,
yeah, I would. Maybe it's just a prisoner of the moment type thing, but like, Zelda's story is really impactful in this game, and just kind of literally ties.
It truly is the legend of Zelda,
and it ties together everything that from Breath of the Wild and this so nicely that, like, I don't know,
it makes sense that they say they can't return to this version of Hyrule anymore.
Yeah.
So I have the same thought as you, but I picked a singular moment from Tears of the Kingdom. I was trying at first when I was making this list, I was trying to limit it to like one choice per game, and I found out that was really impossible. For me, in Tears of the Kingdom, there's 2 that could tie for it. The sword pull is the best sword pull in the franchise. It is probably, I know I just said I cried real tears over baking a loaf of bread in Sea of Stars, but this is this is the most emotional moment of the year in any game for me. The lead up to that, especially when you've hunted down all the tiers and then you go and pull the sword and then you get the final tier, is a really special moment. I would say, other than that, the final skydive, where the game is basically like go get her.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Is such a phenomenal moment. There's just no words. Like it's one of the coolest set pieces ever in a Zelda game. I regard Breath of the Wild as the best game of all time. And I don't think Tears of the Kingdom is better than Breath of the Wild. Like, part of it is we had never seen a Nintendo game do what Breath of the Wild did. We'd never seen any game do what Breath of the Wild did in a lot of ways. Yeah. It did what so many open world games did, but perfected it. And it really, like, when people say there was no story in Breath of the Wild, it really bothers me because you had to go find the story for yourself. And I love games like that. Yeah. Tears of the Kingdom was overwhelming to me, though, when you add in not only the Sky Islands, but the Underworld, also the Underdark. But also, I'd already explored so much of this world. There really wasn't a whole lot different on the surface this time around. And that really bothered me. Like, I still very roughly knew the layout of the world going into it. But I think also, like, falling into the Underdark could very easily, and like hearing the music change for the first time could easily be one of the best moments of the year too. Like, I could do this with all Zelda moments, and Zelda's still not my game of the year. But that sword pull, man, and the final dive, just the music swelling. There's so many callbacks to the franchise in this game too. Like, Zelda's lullaby very quietly kicks in. This feels like a wrap on like 40 years of the franchise at this point. Yeah. Like 30, 35 years, however many years I think we're up to 35 years now of Zelda. This feels like a wrap on those 35 years, and whatever comes next is going to be totally different. Like, this is the first game. This and Breath of the Wild are really the only two that make me feel like this is the legend of Zelda. Zelda is the key character in these two games for once. And it's Link discovering that legend, basically. It's also the best relationship that we've ever seen between Link and Zelda outside of Ocarina. I would say Ocarina is the only one that gives it a run for its money.
Yeah, I would even say that's arguable too, though. I mean, I really think their relationship in this series is, especially, like,
it's special.
I don't know if you played Age of Calamity at all, which is not. It's not a great game, but there's a lot of Zelda lore in there that ties into these games, and it's I mean,
it's almost essential for understanding the full story.
Yeah. And so, like, if you tie that into these two games too, like, there's no question that these are the best versions of these characters we've ever seen, and their relationship is the best we've ever seen, in my opinion.
Yeah. With that being said, let's do our top 10s.
All right, top 10.
Let's bounce back and forth. I do have mine in order.
Yeah, I do too. I'm going to go 10 to 1.
Yeah, hit me with your number 10,
All
Corey.
Right, my number 10, Josh, is Ravenlock.
Okay.
It's not the best game by any stretch of the imagination. I just we were coming off like this weird kind of expansion / season for Destiny, and there's a couple other things that were going on, and it just was like this change of pace that I think I really needed at the time, of like a simplified Zelda experience with 3 dungeons and simplified puzzles and simple combat and a cute kind of patchwork world. And Ravenlock really did it for me. I got all the achievements in it. It was, it's like this, you're this girl who kind of falls into a looking glass into a Alice in Wonderland inspired world, to the point where I would say it's just Alice in Wonderland. But, yeah, I would say Ravenlock is really a great game on Game Pass. Coco Cucumber developed it. It did a lot more for me than Echo Generation did, which was their last game. So I highly recommend it. It's got a great art style, cool characters, cool. You can wear different hats that you find throughout the world, like the Mad Hatter's hat or some bunny ears, or it's just really cute and fun and kind of charming, and about 6 hours long to get all the achievements. So I think the hardest achievement was to find all of the white rabbits. And I ended up just using a guide and running around the world until I found him. So
Fair.
that's
I've got Starfield at number 10. We did a pod on this. I did not think that it was going to fall this far down my
I'm
list.
kind of shocked it's this far down.
I mean, just the more I sat on it, I didn't go back to it. I was planning on going back to it, and I was like, I did everything.
Mhm.
Did all the faction storylines. There's still tons of quests I haven't done, probably. Did all the faction storylines. I built a nice big base, built a couple big nice ships, started New Game Plus, and just kind of decided I was done. There was nothing really holding me here. I spent 60, 70 hours in it, and I was just kind of ready to move on. I'll be coming back this year for the DLC for sure. And I want to see how the DLC plays out, both in my original playthrough and in New Game Plus. I'm curious about both, see how it kind of affects the timeline. But yeah, Starfield's number 10 for me. I couldn't put it any higher because almost every game after this I played after Starfield.
Yeah.
Or I returned to after Starfield, I should say that. Hit me with number 9.
9 is Hi-Fi Rush.
Okay.
I really loved the innovative combat system with the rhythm stuff. I think the characters are charming. I think the boss battles are really cool. Celica is really cool, and or Corsica is really cool. Celica, and Rekka is cool, and the cat character is really something that was really shockingly cute and fun. And I just think Hi-Fi Rush is an amazing game that I hope people took the time to play because it's really charming and great. And the soundtrack is second to none this year in a lot of ways. So even the streamer only soundtrack that they put in that doesn't have the licensed music is great. So Hi-Fi Rush is my number 9. Hit me with your number 9, Josh.
Diablo 4. I love
Starfield?
Diablo 4. Over
That
Starfield.
shocks me.
I put over 100 hours into Diablo 4. I had some of my favorite multiplayer memories of the year playing this game. I really loved it. I know a lot of people have qualms with Diablo 4. I really enjoyed it. I thought the story was pretty damn good. I enjoyed the world. I 100%ed the Altars of Lilith, for God's sake. I cannot emphasize how much I'm looking forward to Vessel of Hatred. I want to get in and play some of the seasonal content. I haven't really been able to go back to it just because everything's been so busy, and I don't know if I will before Vessel of Hatred, frankly. Hopefully this summer I can get back to her, maybe later this spring with the delay of Final Shape. But yeah, I've got Diablo 4 at number 9.
Nice.
Great game. When it comes to Game Pass, I encourage you to try it out. It is more newcomer friendly than any Diablo game before it, in my opinion.
Nice.
So hit me with your number 8.
That would be my number 8. Resident Evil 4 remake.
Oof.
Pretty good. I had never really played a
Yeah.
lot of Resident Evil. Like Resident Evil is one of those series that like I am fascinated by the characters and the lore and the story that's going on because it's so over the top and ridiculous. But a lot of the games I'm just it's too spooky for me to play all the way through. Which is funny because like I really love the GameCube remake, but that 5 and 6 were my only kind of experiences with the series, and everything else was
That's fair.
like so I played through this earlier this year.
4 is pretty clearly the pinnacle of the series for me. I don't think they've quite hit those heights again. I think 7 was really good. But yeah.
So 4
God,
and then
4 is so
and
good.
then separate ways kind of sealed the deal that would be on my Game of the Year list at some point.
That's fair. I think I personally have a problem with remakes that like I don't feel like it really changed enough of the game. And I kind of feel that way about Resident Evil 4. Like Resident Evil 4 was already like one of the greatest games of all time.
Yeah.
And I think has very much held up throughout the years personally.
Yeah.
Unlike Resident Evil 2. Like Resident Evil 2 was a totally different situation to me.
Yeah. Well, the only reason why it's on my list, honestly, is because I never played the original.
No, and that's fine. I'm speaking more to like how so many outlets had it as like a top 5 game of the year. That's very weird to me.
To be fair, on one of the big Game of the Year lists that I did for my other podcast, we excluded remakes and remasters from Game of the Year. Like we explicitly said that.
And see, like I think I've seen the list that you're talking about, like, and I agree with that. I think it's a little bit harder to do going into 2024 now because like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a remake, but like is a completely new game.
Yeah. And
Like,
that's a
when
conversation.
we're jumping from like PS1 to like PS5, but also like the story is like going to be radically different than what we had. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's a different scenario.
Yeah, and I think
Or, like,
you have to take that.
Persona 3 Reload, for example.
Yeah, I think you have to take that on a case by case basis too, because like Resident Evil 2 remake, right? If that came out this year,
Totally new
that's
game.
a totally new game compared to what Resident Evil 4 remake is.
But like
compared to Resident
Dead Space or RE4, not so
Yeah.
much.
So that's something that we had always had on a case by case basis when we do these things.
That's
but
fair.
Also, the general consensus is no remakes, no remasters, unless it ultimately changes fundamentally the way the game is played.
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
My number 8 is Cocoon.
Ooh.
Cocoon, really awesome puzzle game. One of the best Game Pass finds of the year. I encourage everyone to go play it. If you like puzzle games, you can 100% this game in like 5 hours.
Nice.
It is a very quirky puzzle game that's going to make you think, though. It is from some of the minds behind Inside and Limbo, which I adore. Inside, I've said that it's one of the best games of last generation. Cocoon, it's awesome.
That was the split, right? Cocoon and then what? Somerville, or the split was the split?
Cocoon, Somerville, and Playdead is still working on some other game. So yeah, but Cocoon and Somerville both came from new studios, had radically different receptions.
Yeah.
Cocoon, one of the best indie games of the year. Somerville, one of the most disappointing last year. So
yeah.
What's your number 7?
Number 7, a game I probably should have mentioned at the top of the show when we were talking about what we played over break. I played quite a bit of Remnant 2 over the break.
Interesting. Okay. Everyone seems to love it.
It was very reminded me of a kind of broken Outriders, and not broken as in the game mechanics, but just like the world feels broken and you're trying to solve the world from whatever. It was very good. I really enjoyed what I played. It probably would have been higher on my list if I played more of it, but I did play probably close to 10 hours of it over break, and I really loved what I played. So that's my number 7.
Okay. I got Hi-Fi Rush at number 7. For all the reasons that you said. So we don't need to dwell on it. What's your number 6?
Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Okay.
Great 2D Mario game.
The little bit that I played was excellent.
Yes, it's excellent. I am having trouble finding the reasons why people say this is like such an exponential change from the new Super Mario Brothers games, but
I also have really struggled on that one, but I was just letting it go.
But other than that, I mean, it's still a fantastic game, well-designed 2D levels. I love the badge mechanic. I think that's the natural evolution of the 2D Mario game moving forward. So yeah, that's my number 6.
My number 6 is Spider-Man 2.
Ooh. Pew pew.
We talked about Spider-Man 2 a lot on this show, so I'm not going to dwell on it, but it might be Insomniac's best game. I know I just said Miles Morales was, but this is such a good game. It's disgustingly good. And it was the perfect length too. I've seen there was a lot of people complaining over the break about like, oh, Spider-Man 2, really fell off for me. It needed more to do in it. Nope, I don't need a bloated game. The first one felt really bloated. I didn't need that.
I think I beat the story in 11 hours with some.
I 100% completed Spider-Man 2 in 22 hours.
Yeah. It's not very long,
and I really enjoyed that. I had no problem spending $70 on this game.
Yeah.
It was excellent.
Yeah.
What's your number 5, Corey? We're getting to the top 5.
Pikmin 4.
Pikmin 4. Yeah. Okay.
It's a joyous little. I'm going to throw these little.
I still haven't picked it up.
Plants at things and watch things die and grow more Pikmin and build a ship.
I love Pikmin. I need to pick this up at some point.
Oh my gosh, dude! It's the best one since the first one, in my opinion.
All right, I got a really controversial pick here at number 5, Corey. Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay. I mean,
I got Tears of the Kingdom at number 5. I could not in good. You're going to be upset when I put above it.
I don't know if I am.
I think you will be. I've got Tears of the Kingdom at number 5. We just lavished a bunch of praise on this game, but it's a testament to how good of a year this was that this is number 5. It would have been even lower if I had been able to actually play Baldur's Gate and Alan Wake for what it's worth. Those do not appear anywhere on my list. I am lacking the funds at the moment. But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom, it's a great game. It took me a lot to like finally circle back to it. But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah. maybe one day I'll actually get to finish it instead of just like watching the ending 15 times on YouTube. I really struggled to go back to this game once I dropped it for Diablo.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna finish it up over the summer. I couldn't. I picked it up like 5 different times and couldn't finish it.
I love the shrines though, man. The shrines are the best parts of these games. Although
They're better.
shout out to the dungeons.
They're better than the divine beasts for the most part.
Yeah. Shout out to the dungeons though in this game, especially the fire dungeon.
There's one particular dungeon. What is it? It's not the wind one. It's the fucking water one.
Yeah.
The water dungeons always suck in Zelda games. This one sucked. This is the worst boss in the game.
Yeah, this is by far the worst dungeon.
I spent hours on this boss because I just could not grasp the concept of doing it.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't like the parrying system in this game either.
The parrying system really sucks.
The parrying alone is probably why this is at number 5 instead of higher.
Not that
What's your number 4, Corey?
Zelda's really known for its combat, but you know what is known for its combat? My number 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Josh.
Okay.
I mean, for all the reasons we've already talked about.
For all the reasons we've said for the whole year.
Great characters, awesome performances, fun combat, cool secrets, great twist, by the way. I did not see coming.
I kind of had an inkling it was coming, unfortunately.
No, I didn't.
But I'm also like a Star Wars nut job, so...
Yeah. So...
All right, Corey. All right. Here it is, the one that's going to probably make you upset. Uh-oh. Number 4, I got Sea of Stars.
Oh, okay. Why would that make me upset?
I mean, I know you weren't too big of a fan as the game progressed on.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, like this game shot so far up my list so quickly because I was just like, I was playing it constantly. Once you hit that last third of the game, I think that it just becomes less of a, I'm like super invested in this into a like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And like, partially in a good way, and then like it starts out good, like what the fuck is happening, like this is kind of cool, and then you hit a moment where you're like what?
Yeah.
And it's when you get the final party member, and I was just like, yeah, I'm putting this one down for a little while. I'm good.
Okay.
But Sea of Stars, I mean, it's everything that you want for all the reasons that we've said before. We've talked about it on the show before. You were playing it when it first came out. We were both looking forward to it a lot this year. The music is so incredible in this game. Like the music, the sprites.
The art and animation in this game is second to none in pixel art.
The main theme for this game is like stuck in my head infectiously. And I love that every time you walk into a tavern, the music is playing.
Yeah.
And it's like a tavern band playing it, which is even better. Truly a very special game. I can't wait to see what Sabotage does next. And I love how it ties into the Messenger.
Yeah.
I love that about this game. What's your number 3, Corey? The big 3.
My number 3, and it would probably be higher if I finished it, but I can't with good faith put it higher if I haven't finished it, Josh. Final Fantasy
16. Yeah.
It checks all the Corey boxes. The combat, the characters, the just everything, man. This game is incredible. I love the setting.
It's so good,
man. The icon battles are just.
The icon battles are why I think I love it so much. Without the icon battles, it's really, really hard for me to put it up there. That's really what elevates it. That and Ben Starr's performance is incredible.
Yeah.
I think the overworld kind of sucks in Final Fantasy 16. I'm going to be honest.
The overworld.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't mind it, but I'm also the one person in the entire world apparently that really liked Final Fantasy 15. So,
brother, you're going to backtrack through this so much that you're going to be like, I'm fucking sick of these people. But I think that the character work really elevates the game. I think that, if you're reading everything in Clive's quarters, it gets even better. Like as you progress throughout the game. I don't know how far you are. So I'm assuming you've said you've done icon battles. So I'm assuming you've met the lightning guy, right? Okay. So you've met Sid, and this is the best Sid in the franchise, by the way. Sid and Clive's relationship is really special. Jill is really special.
Jill's great.
God, Jill's great. Torgal is great. Just Gav. I love Gav. Gav is a true homie. Gav's my boy.
Yeah.
Even the side characters are so good in this game. It stumbles for me kind of towards the end, but I think like the last quarter of the game is just utter nonsense. But God, the icon battles just carry it so hard for me by that point. And that's not a bad thing.
No.
It's very Devil May Cry.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure if I get Devil May Cry out of this, although I didn't play a lot of Devil May Cry except for DMC.
So the specific Devil May Cry style fights you haven't gotten to yet.
Okay.
I really feel like the later icon fights really are there. Like there's some big like scripted on rails moments that are just incredible.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3.
Number 3, Josh.
Jedi Survivor. We don't need to talk about Jedi Survivor anymore. The reasons that we've
could talk
before.
about Jedi Survivor some more.
I'm not going to talk about Jedi Survivor more just for the sake of time. What's your number 2, Corey?
Tears of the Kingdom is my number 2.
Okay.
It was lower initially, but I got sucked back into doing, and I was just exploring and looking for shrines to do because I love the shrines, and the shrines in this game are exponentially better than most of the ones in Breath of the Wild. That it shot this game up so far on my list, and it was originally in like the bottom 3 of my list. But man, the shrines are so good. So,
number 2, I got Final Fantasy 16.
Nice.
All the reasons that we just talked about. I just talked so much shit about the ending of that game, and it's still number 2 on my list. The icon fights, man. The icon fights. What's your game of the year?
Man, Josh, you're going to roll your eyes at this, but I don't care.
It's Hogwarts Legacy, isn't it?
Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh my God. I can't believe this.
Hogwarts Legacy is fucking amazing.
I can't believe that this is happening.
The world building that they do, I don't know what to say about this game that I haven't said over the last year, but man, I love the trials. I think the combat is fun. I like being in the castle. I like looking for secrets. I think the third act drags on a little bit, and I do think it gets a little bit ridiculous when you learn the unforgivable curses that you can just whirl around and murder people with one shot. But at the end of the day, I think the story is really interesting. Although I wish they would have fleshed it out a little bit more. Right, the Goblin Rebellion and how this goblin feels that the goblins are being mistreated, and so he leads a rebellion with this dark magic that only you apparently can see and use and whatever. But overall, I think it was great. I think the characters are fun. They take a lot of the preconceived notions in people who are in certain houses and turn them on their head and kind of make some of the some of the Slytherins are actually turn out to be pretty good guys, and some of the Hufflepuffs are sneaky and whatever. There's a dumb Ravenclaw in there, and it's like it's fun. I think it's fun.
That's fair.
And it made me really realize why, especially my wife and I bonded over the Wizarding World in the first place. So also shout out.
That's fair. I mean, my girlfriend absolutely loved this game. So
also shout out to Avalanche for making a game that nobody thought they were going to be able to make, and they
making a real game.
Their last car
and not Disney Infinity 4.0.
Their last game was that Cars 3 arcade port.
God.
So you tell me.
Unbelievable.
Driven to Win. Lightning McQueen.
Unbelievable.
Which my son
loves.
Switch, but beside the point.
That's fair. I will eventually get to this game. I do like the Harry Potter world. Even if I have become disillusioned with it, partially because of the views of its author. But I mean, similar to you and your wife, my partner and I also very much bonded over these. She did not read them until we started dating. She was not allowed to read them when she was younger. So she and I read all the books and watched all the movies together, and that was a really special time for us. And so she loves Harry Potter. I'm looking forward to playing this one day. I watched her play a lot of it. I have no interest in playing a Harry Potter game that doesn't have Harry Potter. That's my thing. Like, I just
that was
okay. Like, I mean, I know why they had to do it this way, but
yeah,
it just doesn't do anything for me.
See, I originally said that too, but like in going in, I didn't have any expectations. But honestly, like it once you like get into it, it like didn't bother me at all that it wasn't.
That's fair. I'll get to it. It's on the list.
Yeah,
we at least own this one, so it's on the list to play.
We own it.
My number one probably shouldn't surprise anyone who listened to our spoiler cast. I am cheating here a little bit.
Uh-oh.
It's not technically a full game release.
Oh boy, here we go.
But with this release and with the 2.0 update to the game, it is essentially a brand new game. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty.
Ooh.
It is everything I wanted this game to be from the first announcement. It feels like, especially with the final update that got out right before the holidays, the subway system is finally a thing in this game, which is something from the very first reveal and from the very first concept art that we saw. This feels like the game that CD Projekt Red wanted to make and that they promised us. I had to wait 3 more years for it, but it was worth the wait. In a completely stacked year, this game really stood out for me. I did an entire new playthrough of 2077 just because I was like, I don't really want to respec my character. And I ended up doing it anyways to see all of the endings in the game. I meant to mention it earlier, but one of the best moments of the year is the sewer chase in this game. If you choose a certain path, in Phantom Liberty, this is such a cool game. It is everything that an expansion should be. It's one of the finest expansions ever. Like it's up there with Diablo 2 expansion. It's up there with Blood and Wine. It's up there with Shivering Isles. It's on the Mount Rushmore of the greatest expansions ever made for a game. Idris Elba does a phenomenal job as Saul, and just, man, I cannot say enough good things about the story that you go on with Solomon Reed, the story you go on with V, and how Johnny plays into it still. Like, they still got Keanu doing the voice. The absolute utter despair if you end up with the ending from this as your ending for the main game is the most heartbreaking, heart-wrenching moment of the year, in my opinion. But it's perfectly authentic to what Night City is supposed to be. Night City is not a place you go to for hope. Night City is a rundown place of despair and the downtrodden. And this expansion capitalizes on that pretty perfectly. It's really special. I encourage anyone who has not played Cyberpunk, because of everything you heard when it came out in 2020, to go pick it up. It is fully playable now. It is you can clearly tell the content that was added in with the expansion versus the base game in terms of the side quests. The side quests it's so great. Like, I mean, one, you're helping corrupt cops who, are actually drug smugglers, but their witness they were interrogating ate the bag of drugs they were supposed to sell to somebody. So they killed him and are trying to do an autopsy, and you have to protect them getting out of the police station and this and that. To, just doing fixer jobs, like stealing cars for jobs, are now like a fully fleshed out activity. Gangs will chase you down. There's so many cool side quests and side gigs in this game that, I was more than happy to go spend another 60, 70 hours in Night City. Even though I was doing a lot of content I'd already done before, it was like, damn, this game just feels good now. So, Phantom Liberty, man. It's a bummer that they're not going to make another expansion. I'm really, really upset that they're not going to do the second one.
Yeah.
But I get it. They spent 3 years making this and fixing it. Yeah. So they want to move on to Orion, which is the sequel.
That multiplayer thing that they were trying to do.
They canceled the multiplayer. Well, they canceled that before it even came out. Thank God. They were very smart to cancel that. But God, just fucking Idris Elba for your DLC.
I know.
You got Idris Elba to be the star of your DLC when Keanu Reeves is the star of your game.
Well,
how cool is that? Like, you got two of just the coolest, suavest motherfuckers.
I would love to see like a Cyberpunk movie with them in it. Like,
there is a Cyberpunk live action project coming in 2025.
Yeah, but is it them?
We have no idea. I would suspect that one of them is in it.
Yeah, I would say it would be the Idris Elba character. based on-
His story, there is more than enough there that you can set it in Night City without having V in it.
And like, I didn't play Phantom Liberty yet, so I don't know how the story changes. But based on how Johnny Silverhand is portrayed in the main game, like that storyline, like couldn't really do that. You know,
It slides in seamlessly to the main game. I'll say that.
yeah. No, I just mean like my point is that Idris Elba's character is like a real character. Johnny Silverhand is more of like
I got you.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, Idris Elba's character is a little bit easier to explain. You don't have somebody inside of your head. I suspect it'll be something similar to Edge Runners, but live action.
Yeah. Okay.
That concludes Game of the Year, Corey.
It does, man. 2024, man. We're here. We're
here.
around. So, anything else, Josh? Before we get out of here, we have been recording for 3 hours. So,
no, I don't think the Game Pass games can wait.
Okay. Yeah.
My voice is rapidly running out. I have drained my drink.
Yep. Me too. And I need to go to bed because it's a busy day tomorrow for me at work. So.
It's almost midnight Corey's time. It is 11 o'clock my time.
And I still have to edit this. So everybody out there,
Jesus,
have fun, stay safe. Tower Casuals Thursdays, Xbox Casuals every other Tuesday. Check it out. I guess Fridays for Tower Casuals. We record on Thursdays. Whatever. It's late. Goodbye. I'm tired.
It's Thursday, depending on how late you stay.
Outro. Up. Normal outro next week. Next time. Goodbye. I'm out. Leaving. Game of the Year.